A dying father's last wish falls upon his son, Shuichi: protect the family. His mother puts on a brave face, packing his favorite lunch to support him. Even his little sister's innocence reminds him of the heavy burdens he now carries. But the promises made at home are shattered by the cruelty he faces outside. He returns to school only to find his tormentors have a new target. Shuichi's attempt to play the hero is met with a furious, mocking challenge. The girl he tried to save warns him to stay away, knowing the danger he's in. The pouring rain, a pair of blinding headlights, suddenly rushes towards him. He turns just in time to see the truck that's about to change everything. As his world fades to black on the wet pavement, a single thought echoes in his mind. His final thought as he lies broken on the asphalt: is this the end? But as his life fades, a mysterious blue light appears, drawn to his final thoughts of family. Visions of the ones he failed to protect flash before his eyes, a final painful apology. His greatest regret isn't his own fate, but the tears of those he left behind. As the crowd gathers, his very lifeblood flows away, pulling his soul into the unknown. His consciousness awakens not in the afterlife, but soaring over a new world, the magic continent of Arcanus. Down below, a massive crowd gathers for a sacred annual event known as God's Blessing. It's a day where children can offer their most prized possession for a chance at greatness. A successful offering summons a divine spirit, unlocking a child's potential to become a magician. But this divine opportunity isn't for everyone. A piece of candy won't cut it when the gods demand jewels. For the wealthy, a pair of dazzling sapphire earrings is the bare minimum for the gods' attention. A smug noblewoman flaunts her offering, confident that money can buy divine favor. But whispers in the crowd turn to another family, the Ryans, who've gambled their entire fortune on this day. And right on cue, the subject of everyone's gossip makes their grand entrance. The Ryans arrive, a picture of nobility, but the crowd wonders if their desperate bet will pay off. Holt Ryan, the family head, stares ahead, having risked it all on a single desperate hope. All their hopes rest on their two youngest children, Lucas and Julia, believed to be geniuses. The officiant's voice booms, calling for the next participant to step forward. Little Julia Ryan is called to the stage, her family's future resting on her tiny shoulders. With nervous hands, she offers her most precious treasure, a small golden tiara. In response to her offering, a brilliant blue magic circle ignites the stage. The entire hall is engulfed by crackling energy as the divine power manifests. A noblewoman gasps in shock. It's the legendary blessing of the thunder god Kaiha. And it's a level 7 blessing, a feat of power not seen in over 12 years. The crowd erupts, convinced the Ryan family has been blessed with an unparalleled genius. When the blinding light finally fades, the little girl stands there, seemingly unfazed. Julia looks around, adorably confused by the commotion, while her parents weep with joy. But the crowd whispers that her tiara, while impressive, wasn't nearly enough to bankrupt the family. Their attention shifts to her brother, Lucas, who smugly holds the family's true secret treasure. He calmly adjusts his cravat, preparing to make an offering that will dwarf his sister's. With a final adjustment, Holt Ryan sends his son off to secure their family's legacy. An attendant reveals their offering, not a jewel, but an ancient, foreboding sword. The crowd recoils in terror, sensing the dark, demonic power coiled within the blade. But Lucas smirks, channeling its energy to summon the legendary god of fire himself. His family's hopeful faces flash in his mind, a reminder of what's at stake. Spectators realize the Ryans have bet everything on this one priceless, forbidden item. The young boy walks toward the altar, carrying the full weight of his family's desperate gamble. As the sword touches the stone, the magic circle ignites in a furious, blazing vortex. Its power is so immense it tears through the roof, turning the sky into a hellish crimson. His father can only stare in awe, wondering if they've just witnessed the impossible. A level 9 blessing. The hall's torches blaze uncontrollably, feeding on the raw magical energy. A fiery maelstrom explodes from the altar, threatening to swallow the entire hall. But in the eye of the storm, Lucas stands unfazed, as if this inferno was made for him. The demonic sword levitates before him, its power now fully unleashed and waiting for a master. He looks down in confusion as a small flame flickers to life in the palm of his hand. That flicker quickly erupts into a raging inferno, the fire reflecting in his wide, astonished eyes. The divine flames consume him, triggering a shocking and painful transformation. From the ashes of the boy rises a new being, his hair now a spectral blue gripping the legendary blade. The cataclysmic power finally subsides, leaving only glowing embers in its wake. Outside, the crimson sky clears as if nothing ever happened, leaving the world in stunned silence. Holt Ryan frantically searches for the spirit's messenger, but the stage remains ominously empty. His daughter's gasp turns everyone's attention back to the altar for the shocking finale. Instead of a divine blessing, Lucas is violently thrown backwards by an unseen force. A shattered lollipop hits the floor, a perfect symbol for the family's broken dreams. The boy crashes to the ground, his eyes wide with the shock of his catastrophic failure. His little sister can only watch in horror as tears stream down her face. Panic erupts as the family rushes to their fallen son's side. His parents desperately try to wake him, their minds reeling from this disastrous turn of events. The officiant delivers the grim verdict with a single, devastating sentence: the god rejected him. Lucas Ryan, the family's greatest hope, was just publicly shunned by the progenitor of magic itself. Unseen by the crowd, Shuichi's wandering soul descends upon the fallen boy. Far away, in the fiery divine realm, the god of fire is throwing a tantrum, the source of his fury. That cursed sword, an old enemy he can never forgive. He draws a blade of pure magma, ready to settle this ancient score once and for all. But his mighty act of vengeance is just a little puff, extinguishing the boy's soul. The god of 10,000 fires smugly declares his mercy, having only obliterated the kid's soul. His little attendant spots a problem. A new soul from another world just took up residence. The god scoffs, deeming the otherworldly soul an insignificant pest not worth his time. With the soul situation dismissed, he turns his focus back to the real business, judging the loot. Down below, the rejected boy's eyes snap open, but the soul looking through them is no longer his own. But the fire god isn't the only one watching this cosmic soap opera unfold. Far away, in the heavenly source cave, the god of martial arts senses a disturbance. His eyes flare with divine light as he pinpoints the source of his irritation, and what he sees makes him scowl in utter disgust. With a single deliberate step, he prepares to make his presence known. He stomps his foot, and the very fabric of his divine realm cracks under the pressure. This isn't just a tantrum, it's a declaration of war against the heavens themselves. He brings his foot down again, channeling his godly fury into the blow. The celestial plane shatters like glass, unable to contain his rage. Because if there's one thing the god of martial arts hates, it's a cheater getting a second chance. The god of martial arts stands before the cosmic entity that governs the very laws of this world. He boldly accuses this source of power of deliberately holding him back from true greatness. The cosmic horror responds not with words, but by baring a terrifying maw of razor-sharp teeth. It lunges forward, a shadowy behemoth intending to swallow the defiant god whole. A torrent of dark energy erupts from its mouth, aimed to obliterate this insolent deity. The beast roars, confident its overwhelming power will crush any and all resistance. But the god of martial arts just smirks, winding up a punch that crackles with divine might. He unleashes a fist of pure, concentrated fury, ready to meet the challenge head-on. His golden strike collides with the darkness in a cataclysmic explosion of power. And with a single reality-shattering blow, he proves that even cosmic horrors should fear a god's wrath. The god of martial arts stands victorious, the defeated cosmic entity now just a memory. The very fabric of reality swirls around him, still reeling from the force of his punch. With his point made, he turns his back on the chaos and walks into the light. A smug grin spreads across his face, the taste of victory sweet. He scoffs, unimpressed, declaring the so-called source of power was no match for him. But his celebration is cut short by a tiny, frantic light speeding towards him. It's his attendant spirit, a ridiculously buff fairy, crying his name in a panic. The god catches the tiny being, annoyed by the interruption to his grand exit. His annoyance turns to shock as he senses a familiar aura has been extinguished. His former partner is gone. The attendant shows him a vision of destruction, forcing the god to wonder what disaster has befallen the Arcana's continent. The god of martial arts fumes, remembering a time when his craft reigned supreme over magic. His tiny, muscle-bound attendant scolds him for letting his obsession make him a cosmic pushover. But the god just smirks, claiming he's too cool to bother spreading his own teachings. Suddenly, a flicker of flame appears above him, a sign that his destiny is calling. The fairy reminds him of his duty to ensure the future of martial arts. With a heavy heart, the god accepts his responsibility to pass on his legacy. He steps into the void, ready to find a successor worthy of his power. His divine essence shoots across the cosmos, a single star seeking its new home. Meanwhile, Shuichi's soul drifts in the darkness, confused by the voices and wondering if this is the afterlife. His eyes snap open, but they're no longer his own. He's been reborn in a new world. His consciousness is flooded by the face of a very grumpy, very buff deity. He wakes up with a killer headache and a serious case of, "Where the heck am I?" A booming voice introduces itself as Mars, the god of martial arts, here to grant a blessing. But all he sees are tiny lights floating around his very fancy, very large bed. Suddenly, a swarm of tiny, ridiculously muscular fairies zips into his room, announcing their master's arrival. Shuichi can only stare in disbelief, completely baffled by this bizarre turn of events. Before he can even process the offer, a golden beam of divine light slams into him. His eyes blaze with power as he receives a level 9 blessing, removing all limits to his potential. The incredible power surge leaves him drained, collapsing back onto the bed. Waking up again, he struggles to grasp the reality of receiving a god-tier power-up he never asked for. He can't help but wonder if all fairies in this world are ridiculously ripped. The whole situation has him reeling, trying to make sense of how he's even here. His mind flashes back to the truck, the rain, and the life he left behind. Then, a jolt of understanding hits him like a bolt of lightning. He's slammed with the memories of another boy's life, Lucas Ryan. A bitter laugh escapes him as he wonders if this is some cruel cosmic joke. He's been reborn as a failure, a child abandoned by the gods and soon, his family. Looking at his glowing hands, his only thought is for the family he can no longer protect. He's been blessed by the god of martial arts, but he doesn't know the first thing about fighting. Just then, a broken lollipop rolls into view, a perfect symbol of his shattered new life. His dark thoughts are interrupted by a small, timid voice calling out to him. A little girl stands in the doorway, tears in her eyes, calling for her big brother. Her tiny face is a mess of tears, heartbroken over her brother's supposed fate. Shuichi jolts up, pulling the crying child into a sudden protective embrace. She sobs that she was terrified, having heard whispers that he might never wake up again. He gently comforts her, realizing this is Julia, the sister of the boy he now is. A wave of guilt hits him. Her tears are for a brother whose soul has already vanished. He makes a new promise to protect his family, putting his faith in his newfound power. As the sun rises on a new day, it brings with it a glimmer of hope. The scene shifts to a grand altar, hinting that his new journey is about to truly begin. Meanwhile, in a dark, forgotten corner of the cosmos, a stone angel stands watch. But this sacred place is tainted, as the statue begins to weep tears of blood. The divine figure cracks and bleeds, a chilling omen of a forgotten evil. Its holy form dissolves into a pool of darkness, consumed by a malevolent force. From the shadows emerges a mysterious woman, confirming her ancient enemy has finally vanished. She wonders if the god is truly gone or has simply fled to another realm. The battle has left her drained, a glowing sigil on her chest the only sign of her remaining power. Though weakened, she floats amidst the chaos, a queen surveying her ruined battlefield. But a sinister smile reveals her true goal. With her rival gone, world domination is back on the table. The story then jumps forward 9 years, returning to the now prosperous Ryan estate. A grown-up Lucas wipes away his sweat, looking every bit the refined young master. He notes the clear sky, deciding it's the perfect time to check on his sister Julia's training. But as he sets off to find her, a thorny shadow suddenly looms in his path. His sharp senses instantly pick up on the approaching magical ambush. A massive thorny vine whips out from the bushes, ensnaring him in a flash. Lucas sighs in annoyance, recognizing this all-too-familiar brand of petty harassment. He glances back, already knowing the culprit is his smug half-brother Jeremy. Jeremy mocks him with a sneer, surprised the family's failure is still hanging around. He smugly reminds Lucas that this training ground is for mages only, not rejects. The thorny vines tighten their grip, a painful reminder of his place in the family. Jeremy leans in with a twisted smile, threatening to teach Lucas a painful lesson. But Lucas simply responds to the empty threat with a massive bored yawn. He calmly informs his half-brother that his powerful sister is due back any second. His eyes narrow as he warns Jeremy to let him go, unless he enjoys being struck by lightning. Jeremy scoffs, calling him a weakling who can only hide behind his little sister's reputation. In that exact moment, a massive bolt of purple lightning strikes him from a clear sky. The bully is left a smoking, crispy mess, much to his attendants' absolute horror. Lucas glances over, not surprised to see his sister Julia approaching, staff in hand. Her adorable pink staff crackles with an anything but adorable amount of raw power. The now-grown Julia issues a final, chilling warning. Mess with her brother again, and she won't hold back. Julia puffs out her cheeks, clearly unimpressed with the bully's pathetic attempt. She steps forward, staff at the ready, promising to free her brother from the thorny mess. With a flick of her wrist, the magical restraints crumble into useless pieces on the ground. Lucas gives his sister an affectionate pat on the head, much to the defeated bully's dismay. He then turns his attention to Jeremy, smugly asking if the lesson has finally sunk in. Jeremy can only seethe with rage, utterly humiliated by the powerful sibling duo. He and his attendant make a comically fast retreat, not wanting another taste of Julia's lightning. Lucas notes that she went easy on him, a fact that only highlights her immense control. But Julia questions why he hides his own strength, reminding him their secret power is safe with her. He just smiles, playfully calling her his shield, a role she happily accepts. Lucas looks on, his confidence a stark contrast to the failure everyone thinks he is. His mind drifts back 9 years, to the day his new life truly began. He recalls waking up to his father, fully expecting to be disowned for his public humiliation. But what happened next was the last thing he ever expected. Instead of a cane striking him, it clattered harmlessly to the floor. His father pulled him into a tearful embrace, simply grateful his son was alive. The unexpected affection left the newly reincarnated boy completely stunned. Though a busy knight commander, Holt Ryan proved he was a father first. When Lucas chose the path of martial arts, his father sent a letter full of support. He even pointed him towards a secret book in the armory to kickstart his training. He remembers venturing into the mansion's dark, forgotten corners, guided only by a single candle. His father's letter was the spark he needed to finally set his secret plan into motion. Back in the present, the maids are in a tizzy, searching for the young master who's vanished yet again. They gossip openly, certain the magicless boy will be kicked out of the family any day now. Their conversation is cut short by a sudden, powerful tremor that shakes the entire estate. The maids just shrug it off as earth magic practice, completely oblivious to the real source. But deep underground, a fist smashes into solid rock, the true cause of the mysterious quakes. It's young Lucas catching his breath after another grueling session of secret training. He looks down with satisfaction at the hidden archives he's painstakingly carved out of the earth. For 6 long months, he dug this secret training ground, a 4-part sanctuary to hone his true power. He meticulously planned his secret base with a training area, study, and storage. But what's the last room? Turns out even a future martial arts master needs a bathroom, even if it's a hand-me-down tub. For years, this hidden sanctuary became the stage for his relentless daily training. Now, his secret lair is fully equipped, a testament to his dedication and hard work. His training always begins with a very specific and very bright ritual. He prepares a mystical concoction, a bubbling purple brew that seems almost alive. After a hard workout, he soaks in the medicinal bath, the first step to mastering magical martial arts. For 3 years, he's followed the forbidden teachings of a book he found. Chaos Alchemy. The results are staggering. He boasts that a level 5 magic attack can't even leave a mark. With his defense now impenetrable, he turns his focus to the other side of the coin. His offense. He grabs a sword, ready to test his skills against a training dummy. With a firm grip, he prepares to unleash the blade's full potential. In a blur of motion, he unleashes a flurry of strikes, dicing his target with blinding speed. His eyes gleam with focus, each movement calculated and precise. But mastering one weapon isn't enough. He moves on to the spear. He lunges forward, channeling his energy into a single devastating thrust. The training dummy is covered in a web of light, a testament to his relentless assault. His final strike is so powerful it reduces the dummy to nothing but dust. His spear technique hits level 4, but he's far from satisfied with his progress. After 9 years of steady growth, he admits one thing still weighs heavily on his mind. He knows that to surpass their limits, martial artists must achieve enlightenment. But that path is so brutal, most abandon it for the easier road of magic. Lucas, however, faces this challenge with a smirk, because he's different. He takes a breath, focusing all his power into a single clenched fist. His eyes flash with a resolve that defies all known limits. With a single punch, he unleashes his raw, untamed power. The training dummy doesn't just break, it completely disintegrates under the force. He stands unfazed amidst the destruction, his training far from over. His berserker's explosive fist technique effortlessly reaches level 5, because for some reason, the walls that stop others have never even appeared for him. He realizes his limitless potential isn't a fluke, it's the level 9 blessing from the god of martial arts himself. His deep meditation is interrupted by the chiming of the clock. It's 6 o'clock. Lucas notes that it's time for a rare family dinner, as his father Holt is finally home. As evening settles over the estate, the entire Ryan household prepares for the master's return. Dressed for the occasion, Lucas makes his way to the dining hall for the long-awaited reunion. The doors swing open to a tense family gathering, though his sister Julia greets him with a cheerful wave. His father, Holt, cuts straight to the point, noting it's been 6 long months since they last spoke. Lucas maintains a calm and respectful demeanor, simply replying, "Yes, father." Holt drops a bombshell. He's enrolled Lucas in a new martial arts program at the Magic Academy, much to Jeremy's disgust. With the entrance exam just a week away, his father urges him to prepare, confident his son will succeed. Lucas calmly thanks his father, playing the part of the perfect grateful son. But inside, he knows he must hide his true power to avoid unnecessary trouble. He raises a hand, ready to formally accept his father's challenge. But Julia suddenly chimes in, declaring she wants to enroll in the Magic Academy too. Holt gently tells her she's too young, but she counters that the elite track has no age limit. She then drops her own bombshell, presenting a sealed invitation from the academy. Her father's skepticism turns to shock as he inspects the official seal. He proudly announces that her talent is already legendary, a true genius for House Ryan. The happy family moment is lost on Jeremy, who stews in silent, bitter jealousy. He can't believe his father is praising Lucas, terrified his own reputation will be tarnished by the family loser. Jeremy's tantrum is cut short by a gloved hand grabbing his sleeve. His mother, Jessica, yanks him back, telling him to get a grip. She coolly reminds her son that there's no reason to panic over a little competition. With a wicked smile, she points out that the family failure still has to pass the exam. Her condescending smirk promises that she has a plan to make sure he doesn't. 1 week later, the siblings stand before the academy gates, ready to depart. Their mother bids them a tearful farewell, her worry evident. She presses 2 lucky coins from their father into Lucas's hand for good luck. A flashback reveals the coins are ancient relics, a gift from Holt to his son years ago. But Lucas recognizes the face on the coin. It's Mars, the buff god who gave him his power. He remembers his parents' words, telling him to always keep the coin as a good luck charm. Lucas smiles, feeling incredibly fortunate to have a loving family in both his lives. With a confident grin and his sister's cheerful salute, they finally set off for the academy. Hours later, their carriage stops for the night as dusk settles over the forest. Under the light of the full moon, their small party sets up camp in a quiet clearing. Their attendant explains they're just 1 day away from the Allen Academy of Magic. Julia's eyes sparkle with curiosity, eager to know what adventures await in Daku Town. Their attendant mentions the town's famous magic dodgeball tournament, much to her delight. He also tempts her with tales of Daku Town's legendary gourmet food scene. Lucas can't help but tease his sister, who's already drooling at the thought of all the snacks. But the peaceful night is shattered as Lucas's ear twitches, picking up a distant sound. His enhanced senses lock on to 13 riders approaching fast from 2 kilometers out. He casually asks their attendant about bandits, who dismisses the idea as highly unlikely. But Lucas knows his chaos alchemy training hasn't failed him. This is no mistake. He glances at his oblivious sister, knowing their small party of 5 is in serious trouble. Lucas stands abruptly, warning everyone to prepare for the high-speed approach of a mysterious group. His companions can only stare in confusion, unable to hear a thing in the silent forest. But a hand tightens on a sword hilt, signaling the time for questions is over. Their attendant barks orders, telling his men to draw their weapons immediately. He may not know how the boys sense the danger, but he's not about to ignore the warning. A gang of ruthless bandits thunders through the forest, led by a scarred man with an eye patch. The attendant can only stare in disbelief, realizing the boys' impossible warning was dead on. Their leader cackles, knowing this road is a goldmine of rich nobles heading to the academy exams. His greedy eyes land on the siblings, already calculating the high price they'll fetch on the black market. Sir Fordon draws his sword, furiously reminding them of the price for laying a hand on nobility. But the bandit boss just scoffs, ordering his men to eliminate the guards and capture the kids. The guards rush to their commander's side as the outlaws charge in for the attack. With a smug grin, the bandit leader raises his blade, ready to claim his prize. Steel clashes against steel as the desperate battle for survival erupts in the quiet clearing. The royal guards fight back fiercely, managing to unhorse one of the charging bandits. The bandit leader's face twists in fury, realizing these nobles aren't going down without a fight. Sir Fordon proves he's more than just an attendant, his blade a blur of deadly efficiency. With eyes of steel, he vows to protect Lady Julia, ready to face the entire gang alone. He charges forward, a one-man army carving a path through the stunned outlaws. The loyal knight urges Lucas to take his sister and flee, prepared to sacrifice himself. Lucas is taken aback, not by the danger, but by the man's unwavering devotion. But the tide turns in an instant as a fiery explosion engulfs the remaining guards. The bandit leader smirks, revealing a powerful mage in their ranks, much to Fordon's horror. Outmatched and desperate, Fordon screams for the children to escape into the forest. His final command is cut short as a blade strikes him down, his loyal service coming to a tragic end. Lucas screams in horror as their loyal attendant is struck down before his very eyes. Sir Fordon falls, his body pierced by a bandit's cruel blade. But even in defeat, the old knight vows to protect the children with his last breath. Lucas knows the man is no match for a mage, realizing his plan to stay hidden is officially over. Memories flash through his mind. Fordon wasn't just a guard, he was family. A single thought burns through him. He will not let another family die. He gently pushes his sister behind him, his fist clenching with resolve. With a look of cold fury, he announces he's joining the fight. Julia can only nod, her small voice telling her big brother to be careful. In a blur of motion, Lucas explodes into action, a silent storm of vengeance. Sir Fordon unleashes a final desperate slash, refusing to go down quietly. But his strength finally fails him, and the old knight collapses to one knee. The bandit leader moves in for the final blow, ready to end the loyal attendant's life. Fordon's eyes blaze with defiance, ready to meet his end with unwavering honor. Suddenly, an unseen force slams into the bandit, sending him reeling backwards. The outlaws stare in disbelief, completely baffled by the sudden turn of events. A golden streak of light zips through the clearing, finding its first unsuspecting target. The magical projectile strikes with pinpoint accuracy, a blur of light and shadow. In a flash, the bandit is disarmed, his weapon clattering uselessly to the ground. Lucas's hand glows with a fiery aura, revealing the source of this incredible power. He casually reveals his Gale Strike is already level 4, making these bandits little more than target practice. The remaining outlaws cry out in confusion as their comrades are instantly taken down. Their mage grits his teeth in disbelief, realizing his entire squad was neutralized in a flash. Enraged, the bandit leader unleashes his final spell, determined to take the old knight down with him. A massive fireball hurtles towards Sir Fordon, who is too weak to even attempt an escape. The loyal knight closes his eyes, content that his sacrifice will ensure the children's survival. With a final relieved smile, he accepts his fate, grateful for the mysterious intervention. But in a flash of light, Lucas appears before him, ready to intercept the deadly attack. He leaps into the air, a human missile aimed directly at the incoming inferno. Sir Fordon can only watch with tears in his eyes, stunned by the boy's impossible bravery. Sir Fordon can only stare, whispering, "Master," as Lucas stands wreathed in a golden aura. The bandit mage is stunned, realizing his powerful fireball was completely neutralized. Refusing to accept defeat, the mage channels his power for a final desperate attack. But Lucas's eyes glow with golden light as he delivers a simple, chilling verdict. It's over. He unleashes his berserker's explosive fist, a single blow that engulfs the mage in pure power. Lucas lands gracefully as the bandit is sent flying, his reign of terror ending in a flash. The old knight is left speechless, unable to comprehend the impossible feat he just witnessed. Lucas turns back with a cheeky grin, casually remarking that he might have a knack for this fighting thing. The remaining bandits can only weep in terror, their formidable leader taken down by a child. Sir Fordon grabs the boy, his mind reeling as he demands to know the source of this unbelievable strength. Their victory celebration is cut short as a dark presence suddenly emerges from the shadows. The defeated bandit transforms into a horrifying skeletal monster of pure malice. Its single glowing eye locks onto them, radiating an aura of pure, unadulterated hatred. The creature bears a set of razor-sharp teeth ready to tear them apart. Its reflection shows its next target, as a single word begins to form in its throat. The monster lets out a blood-curdling roar, its murderous intent echoing through the forest. Lucas grits his teeth, realizing this is no ordinary bandit he's dealing with. His only thought is to protect his sister from this nightmare, vowing to end it fast. He unleashes a powerful attack, his movements a blur of focused energy. With a flying leap, Lucas brings his full power down on the monster's skull. His fist connects with a ground-shattering impact, but the monster barely flinches. The creature retaliates with a shadowy claw, grazing his cheek in the close-quarters brawl. But Lucas is just getting started, slamming a fist into the ground to unleash a new technique. A wave of dark energy erupts, sending the remaining bandits flying. In an instant, the entire gang is bound by shadowy chains completely neutralized. Lucas turns back to the real threat, a grotesque monster of chains and rage. A strange glowing sigil on its forehead pulses with dark, controlling energy. He realizes this isn't just a monster. It's a puppet controlled by a necromancer. The creature lets out a guttural roar, its body beginning to swell and transform. It morphs into a massive, shadowy beast, dwarfing him as it prepares to strike. He decides if brute force won't work, he'll just have to get creative with his power. Lucas unleashes a flurry of strikes, targeting the monster's glowing weak point. His fists become a blur of golden light, hammering the beast with relentless precision. With a look of pure focus, he channels all his energy into one final, decisive blow. He unleashes his explosive aura palm, aiming to shatter the sigil controlling the monster. A brilliant column of golden light erupts, overwhelming the creature's dark magic. The monster can only roar as its power source is completely obliterated by the attack. As the sigil shatters, the dark magic holding the creature together begins to unravel. Lucas stands victorious as the shadowy beast dissolves into nothingness behind him. The immense power drain finally hits him, and he collapses to the ground, utterly spent. He lets out a sigh of relief, his sister's worried cry cutting through the silence. His expression softens as his little sister runs into view, overjoyed that he's okay. With a flying leap, she tackles him in a hug, gushing about how amazing her big brother is. The loyal knight, however, is still trying to reboot his brain after witnessing the impossible. But his moment of peace is shattered as his keen senses alert him to a new arrival. The sharp whinny of a horse confirms his suspicion. They're not alone. On its back sits a mysterious woman, her long silver hair a stark contrast to the dark forest. A closer look reveals she's a prisoner, bound and gagged, with a smaller figure clinging to her back. Elsewhere, the defeated bandits are dealt with in a grim and final manner. Deep in her lair, a sinister figure learns her pawn was eliminated, her curiosity piqued by the unknown player. She decides that for now, restoring her power is the only thing that matters. Back in the forest, the night sky offers a moment of calm after the storm. The small girl introduces herself as Maya Rasta, catching everyone's attention. Lucas racks his brain, certain he's heard the name Rasta before. By the fire, Julia agrees, finding the name oddly familiar as well. Lucas connects the dots, realizing they're both noble families from the same region. Julia then turns to the silver-haired woman, asking how they fell into the bandits' trap. Tears well up in the woman's eyes as the traumatic memory resurfaces. She recalls the bandits appearing out of nowhere, their laughter echoing through the woods. Her guards were taken down, and her loyal maid was captured while trying to protect her. The maid tearfully recalls how her pleas of nobility were completely ignored by their captors. The bandits were cruel, their only goal to profit from the suffering of others. The silver-haired woman shivers, confirming their true target was always the children of nobles. Lucas calmly reassures them, letting them know the threat has been permanently dealt with. But his stoic silence hides a mind already piecing together a much larger puzzle. Later, Sir Fordon reports that the girls have retired for the night, leaving the two men alone. Lucas turns to the old knight, asking for his thoughts on their unexpected guest's harrowing tale. Fordon grimly agrees, suspecting this gang has been preying on nobles for quite some time. But Lucas points out this wasn't just any gang, they had a mage and a necromancer in their ranks. The old knight's eyes widen, the horrifying implications of that statement finally sinking in. Lucas concludes that a terrifying demon is pulling the strings from the shadows. Sir Fordon vows to report this, hoping to forge an alliance with the powerful Rasta family. As marshmallows roast, Lucas offers a suggestion to avoid any more unwelcome surprises. The next day, their arrival in Dacktown is met with Julia's outrage over their cancelled sightseeing plans. He explains that bandit allies could be lurking, making a direct trip to the academy the only safe option. Lucas gently asks for their understanding, emphasizing that their safety is his top priority. The silver-haired Maya quickly agrees, siding with his cautious approach. But his logic does little to stop Julia from pouting, much to his exasperation. A sly grin spreads across his face as he comes up with the perfect way to appease her. He promises a trip to the gourmet district later, a bribe that instantly wins his sister over. The siblings press against the carriage window, their faces alight with the excitement of arrival. Their carriage rolls into a breathtaking cityscape, the largest town outside the imperial capital. The streets are a vibrant, bustling hub of activity, alive with the energy of the crowd. Even the locals are in awe of their town, a thriving metropolis second only to the capital itself. Maya is equally enchanted by the lively atmosphere, a welcome change from the dark forest. Lucas watches the girls' excitement with a knowing smile, a silent observer of their joy. But a flicker of nostalgia crosses his face, a feeling of strange familiarity in this new place. He realizes the town's energy is a perfect echo of the city he left behind in his past life. Their sightseeing is interrupted by a clown selling screaming mandrakes, much to the girls' horror. But Julia's fear is quickly replaced by hunger, as visions of delicious pastries dance in her head. Lucas returns with an armful of treats, much to his sister's absolute delight. The girls bond over a pink donut, their friendship blossoming amidst the chaos. He watches them with a gentle smile, finding a rare moment of peace on their journey. With their bellies full, the carriage rolls on towards their final destination. They finally arrive at the grand gates of the academy, where Sir Fordon must leave them. Lucas confidently reassures the old knight, promising to keep his sister safe. But Julia playfully tackles him, insisting that she'll be the one doing the protecting. He pats her head with a grin, happy to rely on his genius magician of a sister. Sir Fordon watches the exchange with a bittersweet expression, his duty now in their hands. Maya observes their dynamic with a curious smile, intrigued by the powerful yet playful siblings. Sir Fordon watches them go, his duty fulfilled as a new chapter begins for the children. Julia gushes about her new friends, completely oblivious to the budding romance beside her. Maya can't help but feel a spark of gratitude, finding herself drawn to the kind-hearted siblings. Her heart flutters as she realizes her admiration for Lucas might be something more. But Sir Fordon suddenly recalls a crucial piece of their shared history. He reveals that Lucas and Maya were once engaged, childhood sweethearts destined for greatness. That is, until Lucas's public failure shattered their arranged future, branding him a talentless reject. Now they stand before the Allen Magic Academy, one of the most prestigious schools in the Empire. It's a place where mages are forged over 6 years, mastering the elements to earn their place in the world. But for the truly gifted, a special exam offers a fast track to graduation, a challenge Lucas seems ready to explain. Lucas's eyes narrow as he explains the special exam is a shortcut for the truly exceptional. Julia pouts, disappointed she won't be taking the entrance exam with her new friend Maya. He reassures her that Maya already left with her family, safe from any further danger. Lucas shifts their focus to the task at hand, promising they'll all be classmates soon enough. With her spirits lifted, Julia is all fired up and ready to find the reception desk. Their arrival immediately draws a crowd, with onlookers gushing over the adorable sibling duo. But their search is cut short when a calm voice calls out, stopping Julia in her tracks. The voice belongs to Mina, the impeccably dressed vice president of the student council. She leans in with a smile, assuming the little girl must have snuck in to follow her big brother. But Julia proudly declares she's here for the exam too, leaving the vice president utterly baffled. Mina connects the dots, realizing this little girl might be the elite division's special recruit. A knowing smile spreads across her face as she confirms her theory. She kneels down, warmly addressing the girl by her full name, Julia of the Ryan family. Julia is taken aback, wondering how this stranger already knows who she is. Mina brushes off the question, completely ignoring Lucas as she leads the young prodigy away. But Julia quickly reminds her that her brother is also here to take the exam. The vice president is flustered, having completely forgotten about the boy applying for the martial arts department. Just then, a smug voice cuts in, mocking anyone foolish enough to practice martial arts at a magic academy. Lucas is surrounded by condescending glares, realizing the prejudice against martial artists runs deep here. His sister puffs her cheeks in fury, declaring that in reality, these arrogant mages are all just weak trash. Lucas scoffs internally, dismissing the arrogant mages as nothing more than background noise. Her fiery defense leaves the vice president and the other students completely speechless. Mina quickly collects herself, embarrassed by her momentary loss of composure. She turns her attention to the boy who started it all, finally addressing him by name. With a professional smile, she offers to guide Lucas through the registration process. He's pleasantly surprised, noting she's one of the few who treats him without judgment. They're led towards a massive sun-drenched hall where the exams are about to begin. Mina magically produces their official exam emblems from a swirl of papers. She instructs them to wear the emblems, which contain their unique exam numbers. Lucas explains the exam is in 3 parts, starting with a test of their magical potential. He continues, explaining the second test measures their sensitivity to elemental spirits. Finally, they'll gauge their destructive power by blasting a dummy puppet. Lucas questions if martial artists follow the same magic-focused exam, and Mina confirms it's for fairness. He internally scoffs, realizing they were just too lazy to create a proper martial arts test. With a crack of his knuckles, he decides this is the perfect opportunity. He's determined to show them a fraction of his real power and shatter their prejudice. The first exam begins in the potential measurement room, where applicants must touch a magical device, but the proctor is already staring in disbelief, his attention fixed on a single student. The old man declares this an unprecedented event, a once-in-a-thousand-years miracle. Meanwhile, another applicant scores a pathetic 0, making Lucas's earlier score of 1 look almost impressive by comparison. Lucas lets out a bored sigh, completely underwhelmed by the so-called talent on display. Another applicant steps up, causing the orb to glow with a faint purple light. The crowd gasps in shock as the proctor identifies the rare purple glow. Her level 7 potential instantly marks her as one of this year's top prospects. But Lucas just scoffs, wondering why everyone is so impressed by such a mediocre display. He then calls out to his sister, telling her it's time to stop holding back. The proctor overhears this and starts sweating, wondering what holding back could possibly mean. Julia places her hands on the orb, which immediately erupts in a blinding golden light. The golden energy intensifies, pulsing with a power the Academy has never seen. The entire hall is engulfed in a divine radiance, leaving every single student utterly speechless. The proctor's jaw drops as the orb displays a perfect 10, a legendary score that leaves him utterly speechless. Even the vice president is stunned, remembering a similar prodigy 2 years ago, but admitting this girl's talent is on another level. The golden light fades, leaving the little prodigy looking slightly dazed by her own incredible power. The moment the test ends, she joyfully leaps towards Lucas, her face beaming with pride. He catches her in a hug, proudly declaring that his little sister is going to be a great magician. But whispers erupt from the crowd, with one student questioning how a genius and a loser could possibly be siblings. Lucas just smirks, knowing his plan is working. No one would dare make an enemy of a prodigy just to mess with her brother. And right on cue, Julia fiercely defends him, confirming his strategy. Her talent is the perfect shield for his peaceful school life. His mind flashes back, revealing he's worked tirelessly for the past 3 years on this very plan. He secretly used the sorcerer's initiation skill to boost his sister's power, a gamble that is now paying off spectacularly. The proctor announces the second exam, but Lucas knows this is the day his master plan truly shines. The students are herded like cattle towards the next grand hall for their compatibility test. Lucas and Julia step through a massive archway, ready to face the next challenge together. They enter the compatibility test venue, a grand chamber where elemental spirits await. This test measures an applicant's affinity with the powerful spirits of fire, water, wind, and earth. But the moment the test begins, the other students can only stare in utter disbelief. Every single elemental spirit in the hall immediately flocks to Julia, ignoring everyone else. She stands in the center of the magical whirlwind, looking like a queen commanding her court. The other applicants are stunned, realizing she has perfect compatibility with every single element. Lucas just smirks, proudly thinking that his little sister's terrifying talent is all part of the plan. He internally celebrates his magician meridian art, a secret skill he created to boost his sister's power. The official results are in. Julia Ryan scores a 9.6, the highest compatibility in the entire exam. The proctor offers his congratulations, which she accepts with a dazzling, triumphant smile. But her victory lap is cut short as she senses the creepy, unwanted attention of the crowd. Suddenly, she's swarmed by shadowy figures, all desperate to befriend the new prodigy. Overwhelmed by the sudden fame, she runs straight to the safety of her big brother's arms. Lucas turns with a calm smile, asking his little sister what's bothering her. She clings to him, creeped out by the intense stares and admitting it's all a bit scary. He gently pats her head, explaining this is just the price of being a certified genius. Her fear turns to resolve as she realizes that to protect him, she must embrace her new strength. Lucas encourages his sister, deciding it's time to cultivate her courage along with her power. But his attention is caught by a pair of gossiping nobles in the background. They whisper that Julia's talent is wasted, being related to a talentless reject like him. They recall how the elemental spirits fled from Lucas the moment he entered the exam hall. The spirits didn't just avoid him, they looked at him with pure, unadulterated disgust. But one of the nobles recalls an even stranger event that happened right after. He claims a fire spirit literally tore its own arm off the second Lucas left the room. His friend scoffs at the idea, brushing it off as a simple mistake. Lucas overhears their entire conversation, a sly, knowing smile playing on his lips. He thinks to himself, surprised that anyone actually witnessed what he did during the exam. He realizes the spirit's disgust stems from the god of fire's ancient petty grudge. The fire spirits were especially hostile, mocking him with childish taunts. As he tried to leave, one even had the audacity to spit a tiny flame at him. So he casually flicked a pebble, a simple gesture to put the tiny terror in its place. Lucas scoffs, deciding a mere servant of the fire god has no right to act so arrogantly. With the compatibility test over, he takes his sister's hand and leads her to the final exam. He smirks, telling Julia he won't get serious, since he plans on her being his shield. They arrive at the final venue, a massive arena for testing raw destructive power. Their targets are an army of gleaming metal dummies waiting to be obliterated. Hand in hand, the siblings walk towards the final stage, ready to end this exam with a bang. A jealous student plans to vent his frustration on a dummy, but his friend worries the new prodigy will break it first. The bully scoffs at the idea, declaring it's impossible for a little girl to destroy the target. These dummies are made of special metal, enchanted to withstand all but the most powerful curse-class attacks. Lucas surveys the arena, a smirk playing on his lips as he sizes up the sturdy targets. He clenches his fist, realizing this is the perfect chance to test out a level 6 skill. Lucas cheekily decides the school is worth it just for the high-end training equipment, much to Julia's confusion. The other students panic, begging the proctors not to spring a surprise test on them. A stern-looking proctor cuts through the noise, demanding the applicants line up immediately. But a smug noblewoman steps forward, declaring the talentless should move to the back of the line. Her eyes flare with a menacing red light, a clear challenge to anyone who dares to disagree. She unleashes a powerful aura, her heart glowing as she sizes up the competition. With a condescending huff, she dismisses the siblings as beneath her notice. But Lucas and Julia simply walk past, completely unfazed by her little power trip. The noblewoman blocks their path, her words dripping with condescension as she addresses the young prodigy. Her eyes blaze with a terrifying intensity, a clear warning to the siblings. Julia immediately hides behind her brother, intimidated by the older girl's menacing presence. She whispers to Lucas that this new rival is seriously creeping her out. Lucas steps forward, calmly asking the bully for her name. She proudly introduces herself as Era Miranda, granddaughter of a powerful duke. The name rings a bell. The Miranda family is one of the 3 most powerful noble houses in the entire empire. The Miranda clan is legendary, having once produced a world-renowned magician. He then recalls that his own mother, Catherine, was a Miranda, making this a family affair. Lucas connects the dots, realizing this arrogant girl is his cousin, Ira. She glares back, completely baffled by his sudden, casual questions. He calmly reveals their family connection, much to her and everyone else's surprise. Ira fumes, vowing to publicly humiliate the rude cousin she never knew she had. Her eyes glow with a menacing red light as she prepares to cast a powerful spell. A magical sigil appears before Lucas, a curse meant to bend him to her will. She unleashes her spell, commanding him to embarrass himself in front of the entire crowd. But Lucas just smiles, completely unaffected by the powerful mind control magic. Ira's fury is so intense she's practically a hissing cat. He smugly questions the Miranda family's etiquette, using mental magic on a relative you just met. She's stunned, her best spell failed, but a weak curse is no match for a martial artist's will. Just then, the proctor calls his name, forcing him to cut the family drama short. Ira's rage shifts targets, her accusing finger now pointed directly at his little sister. She furiously declares she'll be taking first place, refusing to be outshone by a child. Lucas just glances at the floating scoreboard, a knowing smirk on his face. The results are already in. Julia is number 1 and his arrogant cousin is a distant second. He decides then and there that for his plan to work, Julia must remain at the top. But for now, he just offers his genius sister a piece of candy, completely unbothered by the drama. Julia curiously tastes the candy, her cheeks puffed out in concentration. He shoves a glowing, angelic-looking potion down her throat, a secret power-up in disguise. She immediately coughs, betrayed by the bitter taste of his so-called treat. Lucas just smiles, explaining the rare potion will boost her power instantly. Just then, a booming voice calls his name, summoning him to the final test. As he runs off, Julia tearfully vows to never trust his cooking again. His boots kick up dust as he steps into the massive, sun-drenched arena. With a confident stride, Lucas walks towards the proctor, ready to face his final challenge. The proctor instructs him to unleash his full magical power on the training dummy. But Lucas calmly interrupts, delivering a line that will stun the entire academy. "I cannot use magic." The proctor stares blankly, his mind struggling to compute the words "no magic." He then smirks, asking if a physical strike would be an acceptable substitute for magic. The crowd erupts in mockery, calling him a mountain hermit who's about to break his hand. Their jeers die down as they realize his genius sister is giving them a death glare. Julia puffs her cheeks in fury, thinking only her brother's orders are saving these bullies from a beatdown. Ira is still baffled, wondering how someone so inept with magic could have completely nullified her spell. Julia proudly declares her brother is incredible, causing Ira to blush, realizing she misjudged him. But Ira quickly dismisses the thought, convinced the little girl is just blinded by naive hero worship. Her condescending thoughts are interrupted by a reality-shattering impact from the testing area. The arrogant noblewoman can only stare, her condescending smirk replaced by pure, slack-jawed shock. The entire arena is rocked by a massive explosion, leaving everyone wondering what just happened. The story rewinds 2 minutes, showing exactly how this chaos unfolded. Lucas calmly asks the proctor for permission to use a physical attack instead of magic. The proctor shrugs, casually telling him the method of attack doesn't matter in the slightest. Lucas smirks, recalling how his power spikes every 3 levels, and he's about to unleash his best move. He visualizes his extreme flash technique, a flurry of strikes that have grown exponentially stronger. Now at level 6, he channels a golden aura, knowing his power is on a completely different plane. He stomps his foot, cracking the very ground beneath him as he prepares to strike. With glowing eyes and a fist crackling with energy, he lunges forward to deliver the blow. He unleashes his punch, a golden blur of pure power aimed directly at the unsuspecting dummy. The dummy's sensor flashes red, registering the impossibly fast attack just before impact. His fist connects with explosive force, sending the enchanted metal dummy flying like a tin can. But the target doesn't just break, it's completely vaporized into a massive cloud of dust. All that's left is a shattered torso with a gaping hole where its chest used to be. Lucas stands calmly amidst the destruction, his point spectacularly and silently made. Ira is stunned, realizing his physical attack had the speed of wind magic and the power of a curse. While the crowd laughs it off as a fluke, she realizes she might be the only one seeing his true power. His calm expression confirms her suspicion. This so-called failure is hiding a monstrous amount of strength. The proctor saves face by claiming the dummy malfunctioned, awarding Lucas full marks just to move on. Lucas smirks as his plan succeeds, thanking the idiots for underestimating him while his sister celebrates their victory. But Lucas's shocking display of power was quickly overshadowed and forgotten. Instead, the other students focused on their own far less impressive magical attempts, because everyone's attention was completely captivated by Julia's explosive, once-in-a-generation talent. The little prodigy steps up to the plate, crackling with an intimidating amount of raw power. Purple lightning arcs around her staff, barely contained as she prepares to cast her spell. A massive magic circle ignites beneath her feet, bathing the entire arena in a violet glow. With a powerful shout, she unleashes her ultimate attack, the legendary Lightning Descent. A colossal bolt of crimson lightning smashes into the dummy, a spectacle of pure destructive force. Onlookers gasp in awe, recognizing the rare red lightning, a power just one step below the divine. The other students are left completely speechless, humbled by the special admission prodigy's overwhelming power. But the sheer force of her own spell sends Julia tumbling to the ground, much to the crowd's confusion. She looks up, dazed and confused by the incredible power she just unleashed. The dummy's sensor flashes a near-perfect score of 9.5, solidifying her legendary status. Lucas internally admits even he was shocked she managed to summon the legendary red lightning. Julia realizes her power felt different, more alive than the purple lightning she's used to. He feigns a proud tear, playing the part of the supportive big brother perfectly, but a smug grin reveals his secret. He gave her a power-boosting pill without her knowledge. The story explains that mages practice their own pharmaceutical art, known as potion brewing. Martial artists, however, practice a different craft called pill refinement. While potions need a medium, refined pills work directly on the body, a far more potent method. In ancient times, pill refinement was a common craft, but now it's all but a forgotten legend. These days, Almost no one can craft a magic enhancement pill like the one that supercharged Julia. That's because reaching level 6 in the art of pill refinement is considered nearly impossible. In fact, the only other living master is Duke Resin, a martial artist so respected that even mages bow to him. Lucas realizes his secret skill is a double-edged sword. If anyone finds out, his peaceful life is over. With the exams finally over, the siblings wait for their results under the academy's bright, sunny sky. Julia fidgets on a bench, but Lucas calmly tells her they'll know their class placements soon enough. A familiar voice suddenly calls out their names, startling the young prodigy. It's Mina, the student council's vice president, waving them over with a friendly smile. Lucas approaches her, wondering what business she could possibly have with them now. Mina delivers the good news. The siblings both ranked first in their respective tracks. Julia's eyes sparkle with excitement, absolutely thrilled to be number 1 in the elite track. As she celebrates, Lucas proudly tells her he's counting on his genius little sister. The vice president then asks Julia which faculty she plans to join, leaving the prodigy a bit confused. Mina explains the 5 elemental faculties, with a placement exam deciding their fate in a year. Julia considers her options, figuring the wind faculty is the best fit for her thunderous powers. The vice president gets a little too excited, already trying to recruit the prodigy for her own faculty. Lucas internally smirks, realizing the talent scouting has already begun. Mina offers to escort Julia to the girls' dorm, and the little sister waves goodbye to Lucas. With his sister in good hands, Lucas turns his attention to his own destination, the martial arts department. A crowd gathers as the class placements are announced, with Julia's top rank being no surprise. The glowing results board confirms the prodigy's victory, with everyone else just background characters in her story. But his cousin Era seethes in the distance, vowing to crush the Ryan siblings and reclaim her top spot. Lucas, however, walks a different path, heading towards the forgotten corner of the academy. He arrives at the martial arts department, wondering if the dilapidated building will collapse if he breathes too hard. The place is a complete ruin, a perfect reflection of how the academy views its martial artists. He smirks, figuring this rundown dump is the perfect place for a quiet school life. His hopes for peace are instantly shattered by a ridiculously cheerful senior who knows his name. The stranger introduces himself as Kai Taroy, welcoming the new top student with a blindingly bright smile. But as Kai shakes hands with thin air, Lucas realizes this department might be even weirder than it looks. Kai gushes over Lucas's exam performance, but the new top student just plays it cool, claiming it was luck. The dorm manager hands over the keys, officially welcoming them to their new, questionable home. They're roommates in room 205, a fact that has Kai way more excited than Lucas. The boys head upstairs, where the crumbling ceiling confirms their dorm is a certified dump. They navigate the grimy, forgotten halls of the martial arts department, searching for their room. They find their door, but a moody-looking student is already camped out front. But their surprised roommates are already inside, turning their duo into a full house. The new guys, Collins and Sharp, introduce themselves seemingly friendly enough, but Kai's face drains of all color, his cheerful demeanor instantly replaced by pure terror. A quick look at their shared room reveals why. It's a dilapidated mess barely fit for living. Kai is utterly horrified by their new room, declaring it's worse than a barn. His noble sensibilities are further assaulted by a spider, as he questions Lucas's sanity for staying. The other roommates immediately label him a troublesome neat freak, unimpressed by his noble whining. But Kai has a solution, pulling out a gleaming gold coin that instantly grabs their attention. He offers the coin as a prize for cleaning the room, and his new roommates instantly snap to attention. Lucas notes the coin is worth a month's wages, confirming Kai is from one of the Empire's 3 great houses. Kai complains he didn't enroll just to rot in a dump, but Lucas tries to calm him down. He seems to agree for a second, right before a massive spider dangles in his face. The noble immediately loses his cool, screaming that their room is actually a prison cell. Lucas warns him to keep his voice down, because if the student council hears his complaints, he's a dead man. Thanks to the power of bribery, their dilapidated room is now sparkling clean. Kai smugly pays up, promising to protect his new roommates with his family's influence. The others are dazzled by the gold, completely won over by their rich new friend. Lucas can't help but be amused by Kai, the self-proclaimed god of wealth. Their moment is interrupted by the dorm manager, who arrives with their new school uniforms. He instructs them to change quickly for the upcoming entrance ceremony. But Kai is absolutely horrified by the cheap, ugly design, refusing to be seen in it. Lucas suggests they can petition the academy to improve their conditions during the ceremony. He cleverly adds that they might even get new uniforms, instantly grabbing Kai's attention. The gullible noble immediately takes the bait, while Lucas smirks at how easily he was played. The Grand Hall awaits, a monument to the academy's magical legacy. Lucas steps onto the polished floor, his worn boots a stark contrast to the opulence. With a confident stride, he enters the ceremony, ready to face the academy's elite. The massive auditorium is packed, a sea of mages completely unaware of the powerhouse in their midst. Kai is impressed, but quickly boasts that this lavish hall is nothing compared to his family's estate. Lucas scans the crowd for his sister, and Kai points her out in the prestigious front row. Julia sits among the best, her dazzling new uniform marking her as the academy's top prodigy. Kai notes their own seats are in the nosebleeds, a clear sign of the academy's prejudice. But Lucas just smiles, thinking his little sister looks right at home among the elite. The other martial artists fume, realizing they've been shoved to the back like second-class citizens. Lucas sits calmly, his worn uniform a silent protest against the academy's prejudice. The other students murmur amongst themselves, completely oblivious to the storm brewing in the back rows. Suddenly, the hall's candles flare to life, heralding the arrival of a powerful presence. A massive, fiery lotus erupts from the stage, stunning the entire student body into silence. The source of the incredible display is a single hand, effortlessly molding the flames. A figure descends from a stained glass window, announcing his level 6 fire mold magic with godlike authority. He declares himself the future Archmage and the current Student Council President. Theod Folomel makes his grand entrance, ready to explain the Academy's point system to the new recruits. The crowd is instantly captivated, some swooning while others tremble under his immense pressure. Whispers of his monstrous talent spread like wildfire. A level 6 mage before graduation is unheard of. Theod explains that at this academy, everything runs on a competitive point system. He reveals that every resource, from rare skills to powerful familiars, can be bought. While manual labor earns a pittance, the real money is in faculty events. He then drops a bombshell. The new student tour was just a point farming event for the upperclassmen. Lucas finally understands why the seniors were so suspiciously eager to help them. Theod boasts about the student council's perks, with the president raking in 500 points a month. But his tone darkens as he mentions another, more dangerous way to get rich quick. With a sinister grin, he reveals the most lucrative option of all, monster hunting. Behind the academy lies a mountain range crawling with magical beasts, a gold mine for the brave. Lucas's fist clenches, the mention of the Beast Mountain range sparking a dangerous new idea. Lucas smirks, realizing the dangerous mountain range is practically a custom-built training ground for him. Several hours later, under the cover of darkness, his secret plan is set in motion. Back in the dorm, his new roommates are knocked out cold, completely oblivious to his scheme. A stick of tranquility incense burns nearby, the secret to their deep, uninterrupted slumber. With everyone asleep, Lucas slips out, ready for his solo excursion to the Magic Beast Mountain range. He notes the martial arts department's remote location is actually a huge strategic advantage. The only thing standing between him and his goal is a massive wall at the very edge of the school. He crouches low, channeling his immense power for an explosive, gravity-defying leap. In a blur of motion, he launches himself over the towering stone barrier with ease. Lucas soars through the night sky, leaving the academy far behind for the untamed wilderness. He zips through the forest with a grin, eager to test his skills on some real-life monsters. His first target is a massive purple beast, which he meets with a stylish acrobatic kick. The creature's eyes widen in pure shock, realizing it just picked a fight with the wrong human. With a look of cold focus, Lucas shatters its horn with a single devastating punch. The impact sends a shockwave through the forest, kicking up a massive cloud of dust. In the aftermath, the monster lies defeated in a crater, completely taken out of commission. A closer look reveals its horn was cleanly severed, a perfect trophy from his first hunt. Lucas lands gracefully, identifying his first victim as a huge black horn frog. He inspects his prize, knowing the valuable horn can be converted into a hefty sum of points. But his true goal is far grander, earning enough points to claim a legendary skill once wielded by a god. Lucas surveys the vast mountain range, knowing he has limited time to find his targets. His eyes glow with golden light as he activates a powerful perception skill to scan the area. A wave of energy ripples out from him, mapping the entire forest for magical signatures. His search immediately locks onto a drooling maw filled with razor-sharp teeth. The source is a massive armored level 1 shell mouse, roaring in defiance. But Lucas easily shatters its defenses with a single precise chop to the head. He calmly commands the beast to sleep, revealing a technique that neutralizes his foes. Next, he takes down a level 2 charging bat with a single overwhelming punch. A level 3 Magic Crest Leopard is no match either, as his fist sends a shockwave through its body. The entire forest echoes with the sounds of his one-man monster-hunting rampage. Lucas smirks, pleased with his huge haul of alchemy materials for point conversion. But as he drags his loot through the woods, he notices the forest has gone strangely silent. He crouches, realizing all traces of the smaller magic beasts have completely vanished. The eerie quiet can only mean one thing. A much stronger predator is lurking nearby. He activates his perception skill, sending out a golden pulse to pinpoint the new threat. His senses lock onto a powerful presence deep within the woods. He discovers a massive dark cave, the lair of whatever scared off the other monsters. A sinister purple aura seeps from the cave, signaling a powerful and dangerous foe. From the darkness emerges a massive shadow wolf, with glowing purple eyes and a menacing growl. Lucas just grins, having found the apex predator he was searching for. He notes the beast is a kilometer away, and it's already sensed his presence too. Lucas drops his bag of loot, ready to face the powerful aura seeping from the cave. With a firm step, he lands before the monster's lair, ready for the showdown. His opponent is a massive level 6 icefire wolf, a true apex predator. The beast's eyes crackle with purple energy, its snarl promising a brutal fight. But Lucas just smirks, wondering if he can use its territorial instincts against it. Without a hint of fear, he charges headfirst into the monster's den. With a confident grin, he clenches his fist, treating this deadly fight like a friendly match. He leaps into the air, his eyes glowing as he unleashes a powerful opening strike. The wolf retaliates, its massive clawed paw descending to meet his challenge head-on. The wolf unleashes a torrent of ice, but Lucas meets the blast head-on. He effortlessly forms a shield of solid ice, catching the beast's attack in his hand. The apex predator can only stare in disbelief, its ultimate attack completely neutralized. Lucas shatters the ice and slams it back into the wolf's face, a cold and calculated counter. He follows up with a devastating blow, sending the massive beast crashing to the ground. The wolf retaliates with a desperate tail slam, but Lucas is already out of range. He lands calmly, disappointed that his attack wasn't strong enough to end the fight instantly. The icy remnants of his power shatter at his feet, a sign that the battle is far from over. Lucas taunts his opponent, demanding it get up and show him a real fight. Fueled by rage, the injured wolf struggles to its feet, ready for round 2. The wolf unleashes its second element, charging a powerful fire blast in its maw. It spits a concentrated beam of pure inferno, turning the cave into an oven. The fiery projectile takes the shape of a blazing bird, hurtling towards its target. A massive explosion rocks the cavern, engulfing everything in a sea of flames. But the flames don't harm the beast. They transform it, turning its fur a ghostly white. The wolf lets out a pained howl, its new form crackling with untamed fiery energy. But Lucas has already moved, appearing behind the distracted beast in a flash. His eyes narrow with focus as he winds up a punch, channeling all his power into one fist. He unleashes a devastating blow, slamming his fist directly into the monster's side. The internal shockwave proves too much, as the apex predator is critically wounded from the inside out. The wolf is sent flying, a golden streak of power sealing its fate. It crashes hard into the cave wall, the apex predator now just a crumpled heap. Lucas notes its rare ability to wield two opposing elements so freely. But the beast isn't done yet, its eyes blazing with a final desperate fury. A closer look reveals a strange yin-yang pattern in its eye, a sign of its unique power. Lucas smirks, realizing this rare magic beast is an even bigger prize than he thought. He places a hand on its head, a gesture that seems more curious than threatening. The wolf musters its remaining strength, charging up a final combined attack. But Lucas stands unfazed, a master of elements in his own right. The beast unleashes a chaotic storm of fire and ice, its final desperate gamble. He realizes the chaotic energy is just steam, a byproduct of fire and ice clashing. Lucas cuts through the mist with a golden arc of power, aiming to end this fight. The wounded wolf finally breaks, turning to flee from this impossible opponent. With a desperate leap, the apex predator tries to escape its humiliating defeat. But Lucas is in hot pursuit, declaring that this valuable prize isn't getting away. He reaches out, his hand a blur as he prepares to stop the beast in its tracks. With a firm grip on its tail, he yanks the massive wolf right out of the air. He effortlessly slams the beast into the ground, proving size is no match for skill. Lucas smirks, already calculating the massive point payout this rare creature will bring. But his victory celebration is cut short, as a sudden movement catches him completely off guard. The wolf is sent flying, its pained roar echoing through the cavern. Lucas lands with perfect composure, the cracked earth a testament to his power. But the beast retaliates, unleashing a massive inferno shaped like a fiery phoenix. Unfazed, Lucas leaps directly into the blaze, a human missile aimed at the monster's head. The wolf unleashes another desperate torrent of flame, trying to incinerate its opponent. But Lucas cuts through the fire, his voice booming with a single command. Be still. His fist smashes into the ground, unleashing a cataclysmic shockwave of golden energy. With a look of pure focus, he channels all his power into this one devastating blow. The entire cavern explodes in a blinding flash of light, shattering the very rock beneath them. The apex predator is caught in the blast, its final thought a question of its own mortality. Lucas decides he has no choice but to unleash his final desperate move. The wolf brings its massive paw down, aiming to crush him in a single blow. But in the aftermath, the apex predator lies defeated at his feet. From the fallen beast, Lucas extracts two glowing orbs of pure elemental energy. He realizes he's holding the wolf's legendary beast core, a source of immense power. This rare core is the very essence of the monster's life force and magical abilities. With the core in hand, he offers the defeated beast a choice, servitude or oblivion. He smirks, graciously accepting the powerful new subordinate into his service. This unexpected prize is a huge win. Even elite mages rarely tame a level 6 beast. But the proud predator now acts like a puppy, its will completely broken by his overwhelming power. He uses his own blood to forge a pact with the powerful elemental cores. The blood-infused orbs shoot towards their new host, sealing the deal. With a flick of his wrist, he sends the cores directly into the defeated wolf's maw. The beast swallows its own power, now bound to a new master. A voice echoes in his mind, and he realizes the taming ritual was a success. The once ferocious apex predator now sits before him like an oversized, obedient puppy. He's stunned to find he can now understand the beast's thoughts, a direct link to his new subordinate. Lucas gives his new pet a name, Uru, and the wolf accepts without question. He realizes that by taming the boss, he's just become the king of this entire mountain range. His new pet's eyes gleam, ready to lead its master to the spoils of its former territory. The once ferocious wolf now gives its new master an affectionate, slobbery nuzzle. Uru leads him to a ledge, proudly announcing that its secret treasure is just ahead. The loyal beast guides him deeper into the cavern, its paws echoing in the darkness. Their path takes them past some sleeping cave dwellers, but Uru isn't bothered in the slightest. Lucas, however, is less than thrilled by the cave's overwhelming, pungent aroma. He's led to a massive hoard of bones, jewels, and even a perfectly preserved level 6 beast. Lucas practically drools at the sight, realizing he's just stumbled upon a literal mountain of treasure. But Uru corrects him, explaining this pile of junk isn't the real prize. The wolf then reveals its true treasure, a massive collection of high-level beast cores. It casually explains that it already ate all the fire and water cores for a snack. Lucas realizes his new pet is a certified powerhouse, having defeated at least 2 equals to level up. He rewards the loyal beast with a glowing treat, which Uru eagerly prepares to devour. The wolf's eyes sparkle with joy, completely won over by its new master's generosity. Lucas explains it's a recovery potion, giving Uru its first official mission: guard the treasure hoard. The newly named wolf accepts with gusto, thrilled to finally have a purpose. With his new subordinate on duty, Lucas turns his attention to the next phase of his plan. A sly smirk reveals he's more than ready for his first day of class. The scene shifts back to the academy as the sun rises on a new day. He casually strolls into the classroom, blending in with the other students. Despite his all-night adventure, a quick yawn is the only sign of his secret monster-hunting spree. He recalls the wolf's interference, a minor hiccup in his all-night treasure hunt. 8 o'clock rolls around, but the classroom remains eerily quiet. The students stare at an empty podium, the silence stretching into awkwardness. His classmates start to murmur, questioning why their teacher is a no-show on the first day. Kai spirals, convinced the academy's prejudice is so bad they forgot to even assign a teacher. Their debate is cut short by the sound of heavy, stumbling footsteps approaching the door. A drunkard stumbles down the hall, kicking an empty bottle and cursing his life choices. The door swings open as a heavy book flies into the room, narrowly missing the students. While everyone else flinches, Lucas just smirks, completely unfazed by the dramatic entrance. The disheveled man finally introduces himself as Sigurd, their new teacher, and declares class has begun. Lucas's expression hardens, unimpressed by their new teacher's sloppy introduction. The man scrawls his name, Sigurd, on the board, barely bothering to face the class. He lets out a massive yawn, making it painfully clear this is the last place he wants to be. Kai's eyes bulge with fury, his noble sensibilities completely offended by this display. He whispers to Lucas in disbelief, questioning if this mess of a man is really their instructor, but a sudden, powerful shout from the teacher sends the entire class sprawling. Kai is left completely bewildered, wondering what just prompted that outburst. Lucas, however, smirks, recognizing the lightning-fast movement hidden in the chaos. He realizes their drunkard teacher is actually a level 6 martial artist, a true hidden master. Sigurd begins roll call, his sharp eyes eventually landing on his top-ranked student. Lucas answers roll call, his mind drifting to a quiet girl he noticed at the ceremony. He remembers her name is Tishy, her calm demeanor making her stand out from the excited crowd. The teacher's voice drones on, calling out the next name on his list, Sharp. With roll call finally over, Sigurd snaps his book shut, ready to start his questionable lesson. He suddenly realizes he forgot the textbooks and appoints Tishy as class rep on a whim. Tishy is completely caught off guard, pointing to herself in utter disbelief. Their teacher just points back, confirming his lazy decision with a single glance. But Kai slams his desk, demanding a fair competition for the prestigious role of class rep. He grandstands about his wealth and status, certain he's the only one worthy of the title. His glorious speech is cut short by a textbook to the face, courtesy of their new teacher. Sigurd's hand gestures dismissively as he reminds the class of his rules. With a menacing glare, he snaps a piece of chalk, declaring that talking without permission is forbidden. He then promptly ditches class, ordering Tishy to hand out books for self-study. Tishy, however, is thrilled, seeing her new role as class rep as a chance to change her destiny. Kai nurses the lump on his head, whining about their abusive teacher, while Lucas just finds him odd. As Kai plots to get him fired, Lucas analyzes their teacher's posture, sensing a past injury. Lucas can't help but wonder just how powerful this man was before he got hurt. But when Kai pushes to report him, Lucas calmly shuts the idea down, much to his roommate's shock. Lucas just smirks, realizing a powerful teacher like this will make his school life far more interesting. Hours later, Kai is still fuming, complaining about their lazy teacher as they head to the cafeteria. Kai's rant is cut short by Julia, who happily runs towards her brother. Lucas gives his sister an affectionate pat, asking about her first day. She gushes about her amazing teacher, while Kai fumes that their department got the short end of the stick. Julia then asks if her incredible brother was chosen as the martial arts class rep. Lucas just smiles, casually telling her he wasn't the one chosen. He quickly changes the subject to food, and Julia's excitement is instantly reignited. But at this academy, even lunch isn't free. Everything runs on a strict point system. The cafeteria serves up a feast fit for a king, a delicious reward for those who can afford it. Julia happily digs in, her face a mess as she enjoys the gourmet meal. Meanwhile, Kai seethes in the background, his noble pride clearly taking another hit. Kai sheds a tear over his peasant bread, outraged by the academy's blatant point discrimination. The cafeteria staff tells him to get lost, proving the prejudice runs deep at every level. She coldly informs him that talentless students just have to suck it up and save their points. Lucas munches on his sad slice of bread, feeling like he's lost all his basic human rights. But Julia arrives like a guardian angel, offering Kai a plate of gourmet food. Kai is moved to tears by her kindness, while Lucas finds his dramatic reaction a bit much. Their little lunch gathering is interrupted by a familiar figure approaching their table. It's Maya, their former damsel in distress, greeting them with a cheerful smile. She politely declines their lunch invitation, offering them homemade cookies as a thank you instead. Julia's eyes light up at the mention of sweets, eagerly accepting the delicious gift. Julia happily declares the cookies are delicious, giving all the credit to their talented new friend. Mia blushes, her shy smile clearly meant for the one person whose opinion she values most. But Kai swoops in, playfully demanding his share of the delicious-looking treats. He's instantly impressed, comparing them to his own family's legendary sweets before introducing himself. Mia politely introduces herself in return, as Kai teases Lucas for knowing such a beauty. Lucas keeps his cool, deciding now is not the time to mention she's actually his ex-fiancée. He sighs, realizing this crowded cafeteria is a minefield of past connections and future drama. His observation is proven right as two more familiar faces appear in the crowd. A girl with glasses approaches, greeting him with a nervous and slightly flustered hello. But their reunion is cut short as the student council president makes another ridiculously cool, fiery entrance. Lucas scoffs internally, unimpressed by the president's flashy, attention-seeking magic. But he overhears a secret. The so-called genius is faking his power with potions. Lucas munches on a donut, realizing the Academy's golden boy is nothing but a fraud. His thoughts are interrupted by a clumsy sound, a bottle clattering across the floor. Lucas's sharp eyes immediately lock onto the source of the disturbance. He spots their drunkard teacher, Sigurd, sneaking away from the cafeteria. A closer look reveals the man is crying, drowning some deep-seated sorrow in his drink. The teacher stumbles towards a secluded part of the academy, trying to be alone. He fumbles with a door, his drunken escape anything but subtle. Nearby, other teachers gossip, confirming Sigurd's reputation as the academy's resident screw-up. The teachers hint at a tragic past, believing Sigurd is a lost cause who can't be saved. Elsewhere, the academy's faculty meeting is off to a ridiculously lazy start. A blonde instructor looks on, clearly unimpressed by her colleague's unprofessional attitude. She closes her eyes, steeling herself for what's sure to be a pointless discussion. An impatient finger taps the table, signaling it's time to get down to business. The board teacher finally calls the meeting to order, ready to get it over with. The headmaster announces the first major event of the year, the magical beast taming competition. He explains it's a mandatory tradition for all new students at the Allen Academy. The blonde teacher confirms they're ready with 2,000 beasts, setting the date for 6 days from now. But a smug instructor sneers, suggesting the martial arts students be excluded to avoid wasting everyone's time. But a hand slams down on the table, silencing the room in an instant. Sigurd's eyes blaze with unexpected intensity as he declares his objection to the blatant discrimination. The smug instructor backpedals, but the blonde teacher Linda cuts him off, siding with Sigurd. She firmly states that as long as they are students, the martial artists deserve to participate. Another teacher chimes in, agreeing that all students deserve to be treated equally. The smug instructor is stunned, wondering why anyone, especially Linda, would side with the academy's resident failure. He scoffs, questioning if they're still clinging to the legend of Sigurd's former level 8 glory. Defeated, he sneers that the martial artists will just end up crying in fear anyway. The headmaster makes the final ruling. The martial arts department is officially in the competition. The smug instructor storms out of the meeting, his plan to sideline the martial artists completely foiled. After the meeting, a colleague questions Linda's unwavering support for the martial artists. He argues the beast-taming competition is far too dangerous for students without magic. But Linda just smiles, knowing something about their teacher that the others have forgotten. She recalls a powerful lesson someone taught her a long time ago. It was Sigurd himself who declared that any student who fears a challenge has no place in his department. Back in the martial arts department, the news of the competition in 6 days spreads. A sober Sigurd announces a grueling training regimen, vowing to make them strong enough to beat any beast. But Kai scoffs, arguing the competition is pointless since their class rep has already been chosen. His complaint is immediately answered by another high-speed projectile from the front of the class. Kai is silenced once again as Sigurd officially begins his brutal training camp. Lucas worries that in this practical combat training, he'll have to hold back to avoid obliterating his partner. The training yard erupts into a flurry of motion as the students begin their intense sparring sessions. Tishy, the quiet class rep, unleashes a powerful kick, proving she's more than just a bookworm. Her fierce determination is clear, but a sudden movement catches her completely by surprise. The other students are impressed by the martial artist's skill, but Lucas remains unimpressed in the background. One girl boasts she's the best, right before a massive earth spike nearly takes out the second best, Tishy. Lucas effortlessly deflects a flying classmate, recognizing Sigurd's keen eye for picking Tishy as a leader. Their drunkard teacher suddenly calls it a day, his lesson seemingly as random as his sobriety. Kai collapses to the ground, utterly spent and grateful to have survived the first day of hellish training. His roommates offer to bring him food, revealing another one of Kai's classic bribery schemes is already in play. Kai smugly explains his brilliant plan to save points by paying his roommate in cash. While the others bicker over the next deal, Lucas couldn't care less about their petty schemes. He admits Collins is a clever guy, skillfully navigating the academy's social and economic ladders. Kai struts around, fishing for compliments on his supposed genius-level intellect. He even offers to teach Lucas his ways, a generous offer from the self-proclaimed master of deals. But Lucas swiftly grabs his arm, shutting down the condescending offer before it goes any further. With a polite smile, he calmly tells his roommate he'll pass on the free life lessons. Kai has a sudden realization, assuming Lucas is just coasting on his little sister's elite status. But as night falls, Lucas knows his roommate has it all wrong. Because he's been secretly funding his own lifestyle by hunting massive beasts in the mountains. He smirks, claiming his wealth comes from the blessings of Mother Nature. His secret cave is the real source of his income, a hidden sanctuary in the mountains, Tonight's blessing is a massive slab of monster meat roasting over a crackling fire. He admits that family dinners are the only thing cutting into his relentless training schedule. His mind drifts to the vice president, who's been getting a little too friendly with his sister. A cold glint in his eye promises that anyone who threatens Julia will face his wrath. His dark thoughts are interrupted by the wagging tail of his new, oversized pet. The once mighty Uru is now just a drooling puppy begging for a piece of his dinner. Lucas offers up the feast, admitting the ferocious beast is actually kind of cute. The wolf happily devours its meal, proving that sharing his spoils with a subordinate isn't so bad after all. Lucas recruits his new pet as a sparring partner, his reassuring words doing little to calm the terrified beast. But Uru's internal monologue reveals his master's definition of not hurting was a bit of a stretch. The story then shifts back to the Grand Ryan estate, bathed in the soft light of the moon. Outside, Lucas's mother Catherine sits alone, her thoughts clearly miles away with her children. The sound of steady footsteps announces the arrival of her husband, Holt. He gently comforts his wife, already knowing the source of her sorrow. Holt notes that their children are likely deep into their new lives at the academy. Seeing a tear escape her eye, he offers a simple solution to her heartache. He reveals a convenient work trip will take him right to them, offering to bring her along. Catherine's sadness instantly melts away, replaced by the pure joy of a surprise family reunion. Meanwhile, in the shadowy Grinda earldom, a secret society gathers for a clandestine meeting. A barefoot figure steps forward, the air thick with mystery and dark intentions. The masked members share sinister smiles, their red eyes gleaming with malevolent purpose. Their leader welcomes a special guest, none other than Lucas's stepmother, Jessica. With a deceptively warm gesture, the hostess invites Jessica to join their dark circle. Jessica's cold eyes reveal she's no stranger to this world of shadows and secrets. The leader unveils a new concoction, the Jade Dream, promising an otherworldly glow to whoever drinks it. Jessica accepts a glass, ready to partake in whatever twisted ritual is about to unfold. In a shocking display, the hostess performs a dark rite, her own life force becoming part of the offering. Her essence rains down, tainting their drinks and sealing a sinister pact between them. The masked figure drinks the concoction, adding the final touch to their dark ritual. The entire cult partakes, their leader urging them to enjoy the twisted celebration. With the preparations complete, the hostess prepares to begin her sinister game. She addresses her followers, declaring their Jade Dream will bring about miracles. Jessica stands among them, her expression unreadable as she holds the tainted drink. With a subtle smile, she raises the glass, ready to seal her dark pact. Later, the hostess questions Jessica's claims about an 11-year-old taking down an entire gang. In a private moment, the leader acknowledges Julia's talent, crediting her powerful family lines. But she scoffs at the idea, pointing out that a level 7 prodigy is no match for a level 44 powerhouse. The leader then twists the knife, questioning if Jessica's own child is even capable of succeeding. The leader cuts to the chase, asking if Jessica wants to eliminate Catherine and her daughter to claim the title of Baroness. With a glint in her eye, Jessica confirms her ambition, desperately asking for the next step. A sinister smile spreads across the leader's face, her dark plan already in motion. She conjures a glowing purple sigil, offering Jessica the power to make her twisted dreams a reality. Her voice echoes through the empty hall, finding a twisted beauty in the thought of a young bud withering away. Back at the academy, Tishy announces another grueling day of hands-on training for the martial arts class. The other students are already at their limit, complaining that their teacher Sigurd is a literal demon. Tishy tries to rally her exhausted classmates, insisting the pain will make them stronger. But Lucas overhears, completely unfazed and wondering why everyone else is so sore. A smug classmate flexes, declaring only the truly strong are immune to muscle pain, and his friends eagerly agree. But Lucas knows the real secret to their stamina is the tranquility incense he's been using. Tishy watches with pride, convinced their natural talent will make them great martial artists. The training continues as a silver-haired student charges in, ready for a serious spar. His opponent effortlessly blocks the punch, showing a clear difference in their skill levels. The dark-haired student looks completely unfazed, his defense as solid as a rock. He counters with a powerful palm strike, sending a shockwave of air at his attacker. Nearby, Lucas clenches his fist, ready to show his own sparring partner what he's made of. He moves in a blur, effortlessly dodging and weaving through his opponent's flurry of attacks. His sparring partner grins, impressed by the unexpected display of skill. Lucas just smirks back, casually acknowledging his opponent's effort. Lucas watches his classmates spar, a silent observer of their progress. But his sharp senses suddenly pick up on an unseen presence watching him. He feels a powerful gaze, his eyes drawn to a mysterious figure in the distance. Under a massive tree, an old man sits in quiet meditation, his aura calm yet powerful. Lucas wonders if the old man is the source, a momentary distraction his opponent is quick to notice. His sparring partner sees an opening and unleashes a powerful punch, hoping to catch him off guard. But Lucas effortlessly dodges the attack, sending his opponent to the ground with a swift counter. His opponent springs back up, demanding a real fight without any more distractions. Lucas just smirks, getting back into his stance, ready to give him the fight he's asking for. Meanwhile, the mysterious old man walks away with a knowing chuckle, his observation complete. The mysterious old man politely declines his companion's offer, his mind clearly elsewhere. He reflects on the spar, a knowing smile spreading across his face as he thinks of Lucas. His sharp eyes narrow, realizing the boy is deliberately hiding his true monstrous abilities. The old master admits even he can't gauge the boy's full power, vowing to remember the name Lucas Ryan. Hours later, with the grueling training finally over, Lucas heads out with a new plan in mind. He recalls their teacher's bizarre lesson, which was less about fighting and more about massage. Sigurt's hands-on demonstration proved surprisingly effective, much to his students' relief. The unorthodox technique worked wonders, completely erasing the entire class's muscle fatigue. Lucas smirks, knowing his secret incense is the real reason his roommates weren't sore as he plans his next move. With a bag of monster parts in hand, he heads into town to buy supplies for a new secret training ground. He arrives at the Academy's exclusive magic shop, a place known for its rare and powerful items. The interior is massive, more like a high-end department store than a simple campus shop. But just like everywhere else in this academy, everything has a price and payment is in points. He calculates his monthly expenses, realizing his secret training won't come cheap. His mind flashes to his sister's point stash, but he knows he can't be a freeloader, especially when snacks are on the line. For now, he'll stick to the essentials, planning to cash in his monster loot for a bigger shopping spree later. He approaches the counter, only to find the shopkeeper fast asleep on the job. The sound of his arrival startles her awake, sending a jolt through her body. Her sleepy expression instantly sharpens into a glare, clearly annoyed by the interruption. Unfazed by her attitude, he simply presents his card, ready to make his purchase. The sleepy shopkeeper rings him up, the total coming to a measly 5 points. His card is scanned, the magical orb confirming the small but significant transaction. She recognizes his uniform. Surprised a martial artist is spending half his starting points in one go, Lucas just smiles, handing over his card and taking the massive bag of supplies. The shopkeeper warns him not to be reckless, reminding him that points are hard to come by, but he casually replies that this isn't nearly enough, promising he'll be back for more soon. Her mind reels, wondering what a martial artist could possibly need with so many potion ingredients. She sighs in defeat as he leaves, deciding all nobles are just ridiculously out of touch. Later that night, Lucas returns to his secret mountain hideout, his new supplies in tow. He soaks in a bubbling purple bath, beginning the next phase of his secret, body-enhancing training. He notes the potent brew is too valuable to just throw away after one use, but he quickly dismisses the idea of sharing his bathwater, unaware of the glowing eyes in the dark. A massive, drooling maw suddenly appears, drawn by the powerful aroma. Feeling refreshed, Lucas decides it's time to cash in some monster parts for points. He plans to stick to common materials to avoid suspicion, completely oblivious to his pet's new drinking habit. But a sudden slurping sound makes him turn, a flicker of suspicion in his eyes. He finds his loyal wolf, Uru, looking incredibly guilty with his head in the tub. Lucas recoils in horror, realizing his pet just chugged his entire magical bath. The once mighty apex predator can only stare back, caught red-pawed in the act. He just sighs, reassuring the wolf that the body-enhancing brew is actually good for him. Uru thanks him with a demand for beef, solving Lucas's bathwater disposal problem for good. With his new recycling plan in place, he heads back to town to covertly sell his monster loot. The shopkeeper spots him hauling a massive hammer and offers to help, but Lucas insists he's got it. She waves him off, assuming his rich family sent the supplies, a misunderstanding he's happy to let slide. The next day, their teacher Sigurd is furious, demanding to know why his students have zero motivation for tomorrow's tournament. He roars that if they're not going to take it seriously, they should just drop out and go home. His tirade continues, calling out his students' sloppy forms one by one, with Kai next on his list. Sigurd calls Kai's fighting style weird, but the noble internally fumes that his weird style beat 3 of his classmates. The teacher launches a piece of chalk with pinpoint accuracy, asking if the others really lost to this guy. Lucas and his roommates sheepishly admit defeat, deciding it's easier than arguing with their rich, dramatic friend. Sigurd sighs in exasperation, completely fed up with the entitled noble brats in his class. To settle the matter, he orders the quiet class rep, Tishy, to spar with the arrogant Kai. The 2 students take their positions in the training yard, ready for the showdown. Kai smirks, vowing to prove with his skill that he's the only one fit to be class representative. Tishy calmly accepts his challenge, her ready stance hinting at a hidden strength. The fight begins as Tishy unleashes a powerful kick, the impact cracking the ground beneath them. Kai is sent flying by the sheer force of her attack, utterly unprepared for her power. He lands with a sinister grin, finally realizing this quiet girl is a worthy opponent. Tishy moves with incredible speed, landing a solid strike that leaves Kai stunned. She follows up with a devastating kick, proving she's more than a match for the smug noble. Tishy unleashes a powerful palm strike, her focus absolute. Kai's arrogant smirk is wiped clean off his face by the unexpected force. The smug noble is sent flying, a perfect arc of defeat across the training yard. He lands with a comical thud, his ego as bruised as his forehead. But Tishy isn't done, digging in her heels for the final round. Kai roars back to his feet, refusing to be beaten by the quiet class rep. She meets his rage with a calm, calculated palm strike, ready to end this. Her final blow sends him skidding across the field, his pride completely shattered. Lucas watches the aftermath, finally understanding their teacher's brilliant, if lazy, choice. Sigurd explains Tishy's victory was simple. She exploited Kai's reckless offense and non-existent defense. Tishy offers a hand to her defeated opponent, while Lucas silently observes the outcome. But their teacher is unimpressed, dropping a new ultimatum: tame a magic beast by tomorrow. The stakes are raised even higher. Failure means immediate expulsion from the department. Sigurd orders them to train until nightfall, a final brutal push before the real test. After the grueling session, a defeated Kai collapses, but Lucas offers some unexpected support. Lucas points out the fatal flaw in Kai's technique, telling him to fix his non-existent defense. But Kai's problem isn't his fighting style. He's just been completely thunderstruck by Tichy. The noble is so impressed by her strength he's already planning their future, leaving Lucas to question his sanity. The next day arrives and the students are herded towards a massive, intimidating coliseum. Kai looks down into the arena, his face pale with terror at the sight of the monster-filled pit below. The mages in the crowd openly mock the martial artists, wondering why they even bothered to show up. But Sigurd's menacing glare instantly silences the gossiping students. He sits with an imposing presence, a silent guardian over his underestimated class. His students are stunned, realizing their drunkard teacher is actually defending their honor. The unexpected support from their teacher leaves them completely baffled. Lucas offers some unique advice to a nervous Kai. Just pretend the beasts are their teacher. The thought of finally getting some payback on Sigurd fills Kai with a sudden glorious purpose. But their teacher's sharp hearing catches every word of their little motivational speech. Lucas then gives some real advice, reminding Kai that his defense is the key to victory. A massive holographic screen lights up the arena, signaling the official start of the competition. The holographic proctor lays out the rules: tame 10 beasts in 10 minutes and no killing allowed. A familiar voice calls for the first group, and Julia confidently steps into the arena. With a determined step, she enters the testing ground, ready to show off her skills. She's instantly transported into a magical barrier space, a pocket dimension for the test. Julia realizes this dark dimension is how they've crammed so many monsters into one arena. Her first opponents are a pair of massive, snarling beasts with glowing red eyes. Unfazed, she summons her staff, ready to unleash some thunderous discipline. With a playful smile, she casts her spell, deciding to catch a cute new pet. A storm of purple lightning engulfs the beasts, a spectacular display of her overwhelming power. The proctor explains that a special potion will signal a successful taming with a puff of smoke. The teachers monitor the action from outside, using a magic circle to track each student's progress. But one proctor is already sweating, completely baffled by what he's seeing. In a cloud of purple smoke, Julia finishes her test, leaving the announcer wondering if he miscounted. Her instructor is amazed, praising the prodigy for clearing the entire arena in just 3 minutes. With her own test aced, Julia's first thought is to go cheer on her big brother. But since the martial artists are last, she decides a celebratory snack run is in order. As she heads off, a shadowy figure watches from the corridor, her intentions anything but friendly. It's his cousin Aira, eager to see if the family failure can pull off another miracle. 2 hours later, other students are panicking, barely scraping by with a single point. In fact, the test is so brutal that many magic users haven't even managed to tame one beast. Kai is already panicking, convinced they're all doomed to be expelled. Lucas tries to rally the troops, reminding them that martial artists are far from inferior. His words ignite a spark of hope in his classmates, who clench their fists in agreement. He reminds them that the level 1 beasts are basically harmless, a perfect warm-up. Even their drunkard teacher Sigurd chimes in, demanding they have more confidence in their superior close combat skills. The students are stunned by his sudden support, while Sigurd internally fumes at their lack of spirit. Just then, their class rep Tichy arrives with a crucial intel drop. She confirms no one's been hurt, just magically exhausted, and she's got a plan. Tichy reveals the beasts are contained by barriers, allowing them to pick their fights and avoid being overwhelmed. The class erupts in cheers for their brilliant rep, as Sigurd smirks knowing he made the right choice. A smug instructor appears, mocking the vulgar students he sensed eavesdropping. He sneers at Sigurd, calling the martial arts department unskilled cowards. The instructor, Mr. Gregg, casually announces that their department is up next. He then threatens to have their entire department shut down if they fail. Gregg adds that their class should have never been established in the first place. With his final insult delivered, the smug instructor walks away without a backward glance. But his condescending attitude reminds Lucas of the bullies from his past life. A determined step forward signals that Lucas is done staying on the sidelines. He calmly announces that as the top-ranked student, he'll be going in first. Sigurd offers him an out, but Lucas's expression shows he's not backing down. Lucas's eyes narrow as he delivers a single defiant no. His gaze hardens, confirming he'll stick to the plan and go first. He vows to score big and finally shut up the arrogant mages for good. His classmates erupt in cheers, their fear replaced by a fiery new resolve. Sigurd notes their sudden transformation, impressed by their newfound fighting spirit. He smirks, dismissing their last-minute cramming as the work of simple-minded kids. 10 minutes later, Lucas sprints through the misty arena, surrounded by shadowy beasts. He clenches his fist, a silent promise that he's about to get serious. His eyes lock onto a massive sensing circle, realizing he must avoid it at all costs. A powerful aura erupts around him. If he's not detected, he can finally unleash his true power. He recalls that taming a beast forges a soul link, allowing him to borrow its power. Back in the cave, Uru happily chews on a bone, oblivious to its master's grand scheme. The wolf telepathically asks why its all-powerful master even needs to borrow its abilities. Lucas's leg erupts in a frosty blue aura, channeling his pet's ice magic. He projects a massive spectral wolf, knowing this illusion is enough to terrify the low-level beasts. A high-level owl beast spots the terrifying aura, its predatory instincts screaming in panic. It immediately tries to flee, recognizing the presence of a far superior predator. But Lucas is faster, zapping the fleeing beast with a non-lethal taming strike. The tagged owl desperately tries to escape the arena, but it's already too late. With glowing eyes, Lucas closes in, ready to claim his prize with a final icy blow. He explains his strategy is to mentally corner the beasts, making them easy prey for his classmates. The poor owl's will is completely shattered, its eyes swirling as it plummets from the sky. Lucas smirks, noting his pet Uru's powerful aura came in handy for this little intimidation tactic. The beast is left completely dazed, its mind reeling from the overwhelming display of power. He thanks the creature for its quick submission, but reveals he's not done until every beast in the arena bends the knee. To keep his plan a secret, he must prevent the taming potion smoke from escaping the arena. The defeated owl can only watch, its eyes wide with a mix of terror and confusion. He casually announces he's off to find his next target, leaving the bewildered beast behind. As he walks away, the terrified owl hoots in protest, hoping to never see this monster again. But outside, the scoreboard tells a different story. Lucas Ryan's official score is a big, fat 0. Kai panics over the 0 on the board, but Julia's faith in her brother never wavers. The smug instructor scoffs, ready to watch the martial arts department fail spectacularly. He smugly concludes that 0 points means Lucas is weaker than the most basic magical beast. His condescending thoughts highlight the massive gap between a superior mage and a martial artist. He turns to Sigurd, ready to rub the department's inevitable failure in his face. But Julia erupts in fury, fiercely defending her brother's incredible non-magical strength. The instructor sneers, deciding the elite class is just as clueless as their teacher for defending a reject. He dismisses her outburst, pointing out that the scoreboard tells the only story that matters. But a sudden flare in the sky announces Lucas has just scored his first point, shutting the instructor up. His classmates erupt in cheers, relieved that their top student has at least avoided expulsion. The smug instructor mocks their single point, boasting that his own class's highest score is 5. But his condescending smirk is wiped away as the scoreboard keeps climbing past 2 and 3. The score hits 5, tying with the mage's best, and the instructor's smug expression begins to crack. His face twists in disbelief, utterly horrified that a reject could match his top student. Back in the arena, Lucas stands over a subdued beast, his plan to intimidate them for his classmates a success. With the arena prepped, he decides it's time to get a perfect score and make his grand exit. He unleashes a flurry of golden strikes, effortlessly taking down beast after beast in a blur of motion. The terrified owl from before watches in horror as Lucas returns, ready to claim his final point. The instructor is left completely speechless, his jaw on the floor as the impossible happens. Lucas strikes a victorious pose as the scoreboard flashes a perfect 10, shattering all expectations. Julia's eyes sparkle with pride as she cheers for her amazing big brother. Lucas makes his grand exit, leaving the entire academy wondering how a martial artist just aced their test. He gives his sister a proud pat on the head, her unwavering faith in him finally paying off. But the smug instructor refuses to accept reality, screaming that a martial artist could never achieve such a feat. In his rage, he accuses Sigurd of cheating, convinced some kind of switch must have taken place. Lucas remains unfazed by the drama, while Julia peeks out from behind him, ready to defend her brother's honor. Sigurd's patience finally snaps, grabbing the instructor's face and calmly denying any wrongdoing. The head proctor intervenes, asking if the instructor is accusing him of overlooking cheating. Greg starts sweating bullets, realizing he's just insulted some of the most powerful people in the academy. He quickly backpedals, bringing up the broken dummy as evidence, prompting the proctor to call for an investigation. The smug instructor scoffs at the investigation, but Lucas calmly tells his sister to let them try. He smirks, completely unbothered, declaring he has nothing to hide from their little inquiry. 10 minutes later, the investigation's key witness is about to give its testimony. The owl beast's eyes widen, its memory of the terrifying human still fresh. It realizes the monster who subdued them is gone, seeing a golden opportunity for a jailbreak. The owl leads a chaotic escape, shattering the arena's barrier in a desperate bid for freedom. But a proctor raises his staff, ready to put a magical end to their little rebellion. A glowing lasso of pure energy shoots out, aimed directly at the fleeing ringleader. The magical restraint finds its mark, instantly neutralizing the escaping owl. The proctors note the beast's unusual energy, but decide the show must go on. The proctor still can't believe a martial artist earned a perfect score without some kind of trick. His superior admits the investigation found nothing, guessing the beasts themselves were the problem. They decide to examine the 10 terrified creatures later and let the tournament proceed. The official verdict is in, no cheating was found, and the competition will continue. Lucas smirks, realizing they couldn't find his secret, so they have to accept his power. But his sharp eyes reveal he's not done surprising them just yet. He thinks to himself that with the stage set, the real show is about to begin. The next student, Tishy, sprints into the arena, vowing not to let Lucas steal all the glory. She immediately locks onto a wolf beast, ready to prove her own strength. Tishy unleashes a flurry of powerful strikes, catching the beast completely off guard. Tishy gives herself a 30-second time limit, ready to switch targets if this one proves too tough. She leaps into action, using the beast's back as a springboard for her attack. But the wolf panics, sensing the lingering aura of the monster Lucas left behind. Tishy clenches her fist, seizing the opportunity created by the beast's sudden terror. A single, precise strike is all it takes to completely neutralize the distracted creature, the level 3. Dark Wolf submits without a real fight, leaving her completely baffled. She wonders if it was just a coincidence or if some other force is at play in this arena. A confident smile spreads across her face. This is the perfect proof that their department isn't weak. She moves on to the next beast, her confidence now soaring after the easy victory. The scoreboard lights up with her name as she effortlessly takes down beast after beast. Kai becomes Tishy's #1 fan, cheering her on as Sigurd smirks, his choice for class rep paying off. Tishy unleashes her full power, her score climbing as she completely dominates the arena. Even a massive saber-toothed beast is left trembling in fear before her relentless assault. With a final decisive strike, she aims to secure her perfect score. Tishy stands victorious over her final opponent, officially earning a flawless 10 points. Kai is completely blown away, realizing she not only got a perfect score, but did it even faster than Lucas. The mages are left wondering if the beasts are broken, while the martial artists realize Lucas was right all along. The trend continues as another martial artist, Sharp, easily takes down his first opponent. He follows up with a powerful ground strike, proving his own impressive skill. And just like that, Alto Sharp also achieves a perfect 10, leaving the mages in stunned silence. The perfect score streak continues as Collins delivers a devastating kick to a massive ape. He smirks, adding his own perfect 10 to the martial arts department's growing legend. Even the arrogant noble Kai gets in on the action, delivering a solid punch to a tiger beast. The poor creature is left in tears, completely overwhelmed by his unexpected strength. Kai gives a smug thumbs down, officially joining the perfect score club. The scoreboard is now a sea of perfect 10s, with the Ryan siblings dominating the top ranks. One by one, the martial artists climb the leaderboard, proving their department is anything but weak. Their drunkard teacher Sigurd can't help but crack a small, proud smile at his student's success. He celebrates in his own way, taking a swig as he walks away from the chaos. Meanwhile, the official investigation concludes, finding nothing wrong with the now traumatized beasts. The head proctor demands to know why only the martial artists are acing the test. An instructor theorizes the mages' attacks terrified the beasts, making them easy prey. The old man realizes the close-quarters combat likely amplified the creature's fear. He decides the martial artists will go first next year, but this year's results will stand. The smug instructor storms in, furious that the rejects will now tie for first place. Sigurd just lets out a bored sigh, completely unbothered by the man's little tantrum. The proctor's cold stare forces the instructor to back down, but he still whines about their luck. The old master delivers a final crushing blow. Luck is part of ability. He declares the scores will stand as another elder confirms the ruling. With the debate settled, the smug instructor can only seethe as the results are made official. The smug instructor seethes as Sigurd walks away, his humiliation far from over. He grits his teeth, vowing that the drunkard teacher will pay for this public defeat. His anger leads him to the academy's elders, who are observing a massive caged beast. One elder reveals this concerns the very survival of the martial arts department and a legendary level 9 artist. The other master refuses to say more, his silence hinting at a powerful hidden secret. He simply assures his colleague that this secret plan is for the good of the school. The old man internally vows to keep their true power hidden, just as someone powerful has commanded. Meanwhile, Kai is ecstatic, boasting about his perfect score and eager to report his success to his father. He and his roommates swagger down the hall, convinced their own growth is the reason for their easy victory. Lucas just smirks, relieved that his brilliant secret strategy remains completely undetected. Back in their dorm, the celebration is just getting started. Kai is already spending their 20-point bonus, asking his roommates for their grand plans. While one roommate plans to save his points, another suggests they should prepare for the future. But Kai argues they should invest in high-level materials for next month's field training. The mention of field training immediately piques Lucas's interest. Their next challenge is the Allen Tower, the Academy's legendary and foreboding trial ground. Inside is a phantom world teeming with monsters, a perfect place to gain combat experience without the risk. But one roommate points out a problem. With only 88 slots available, their chances of getting in are slim. Kai just scoffs, certain their perfect scores guarantee them a spot in the legendary trial. His overconfidence is cut short by a sudden jarring sound from the doorway. His roommates decide to go shopping for new training gear, eager to spend their bonus points. As they rush off, Lucas notes that their recent victory has ignited a new fire in all of them. He sips his drink, satisfied that his secret plan to boost their morale was a complete success. But when Kai tries to drag him along, Lucas politely declines the shopping trip. Kai's pestering is cut short by a mysterious pendant dangling right in his face. Lucas reveals it's a gift from their teacher, and he wants to take a closer look at it. Kai immediately recognizes the glowing tooth as a rare prize for the top 3 perfect scorers. He fumes that Tishy deserved it more, but Lucas just shrugs it off, claiming he's just lucky. The noble lets out a frustrated sigh, completely unconvinced by his roommate's humble act. Giving up, Kai heads off to the shop, leaving Lucas to his mysterious new treasure. The Academy's scoreboard announces the impossible. Every single martial artist just aced the exam. The mages in the crowd can only stare in disbelief, their pride completely shattered. A furious stomp echoes through the courtyard, signaling that not everyone is happy about this outcome. It's Rila, the smug instructor's top student, and she's furious her class's elite status was just stolen. She seethes, revealing her father's 10 years of planning just went up in smoke. In a fit of rage, she hurls a magical dagger at the scoreboard, unable to accept the results. Another student complains that the rejects just stole 20 precious entry slots for the legendary Aaron Tower. His friend agrees, declaring those coveted spots were meant for superior magicians, not brawlers. But another points out the official investigation found no evidence of cheating, much to their frustration. Rila's magical attack fizzles out, a perfect symbol of their powerless, petty rage. A sore loser spreads a new rumor. The martial artist must have bribed the teachers. His friend agrees, pointing the finger at Kai's wealthy family as the source of the bribe. Another student chimes in, claiming he saw a Teroi family member at the shop earlier. Andre, Greg's student, confirms the rich kid bought out all the training gear, fueling the conspiracy. Rila worries that with their new bonus points, the rejects will steal all the best resources. She then recalls a crucial weakness, noting that a martial artist's body is far more fragile than a mage's. With a wicked smile, she suggests it's time to personally correct their sudden growth spurt. Her sinister plan is set in motion as a dagger flies through the air at sunset. The blade lands at the feet of some unsuspecting martial artists, who are baffled by the sudden ambush. But the attack was just a distraction, as another student is struck down from behind. The student panics, realizing his friend has been struck by a fast-acting poison. But the smug mage just taunts his fallen victim, offering points like a charity case. Rila joins the fray, unleashing a powerful spell that sends the martial artists flying. She silences their pleas with a brutal counter, declaring their points are worthless to her. The defeated student can only ask why they're being targeted if not for their winnings. Rila stands over him, revealing her demand is simple and far more humiliating. She offers him a cure, but only if he crawls back to his department like a dog. With a wicked grin, she orders him to deliver a message. The martial arts department is nothing but insects. As the sun sets, the bullies leave their victims to wallow in their defeat. Hours later, a search party calls out into the night, looking for their missing classmates. A classmate tries to calm his worried friend, blaming their missing pals' part-time jobs for their tardiness. But Collins isn't convinced, his gut telling him that tonight is dangerously different. His senses are proven right as the overwhelming stench of blood fills the forest path. A flash of insight confirms his worst fears. Something terrible has happened here. He bolts into the darkness, leaving his confused friend shouting in his wake. Collins clenches his fist, his urgent sprint signaling the time for talk is over. They arrive just in time to find the grim aftermath of a brutal ambush. Their missing classmates lie defeated on the ground, victims of a cowardly attack. His friend seethes with rage, demanding to know who would commit such a heinous act. Collins rushes to his fallen classmate's side, who desperately clings to him for help. The fallen student gasps out the name of his attacker, Rila, from Greg's class. Worse, she severed his meridians, a career-ending injury for any martial artist. Collins' face darkens with a cold fury, his knuckles turning white. His friend screams their classmate's name in a panic, fearing the absolute worst. Sharp quickly confirms he's only unconscious, but the situation remains critical. Collins uses a healing technique to stop the bleeding, ordering Kai to find medicine immediately. With a look of grim determination, Kai sprints into the darkness to get help. Collins discovers the other victim is under a curse, his entire bone structure shattered. He recognizes the brutal technique as a forbidden art used only by black market assassins. Collins stands in the grim aftermath, realizing this wasn't a school rivalry, it was attempted murder. The fallen student whispers for his parents, his body broken from the cowardly attack. Lucas's usual calm expression is replaced by a cold, simmering fury. Kneeling by his classmate, he makes a chilling promise. I will avenge you. Just then, Kai and Tichy arrive, shouting his name as they take in the grim scene. They're horrified to learn their friends were ambushed, with Kai explaining he ran into Tichy on his way back. Lucas confirms their lives aren't in danger, but the severe injuries will take days to heal. Kai clutches a medicine pouch, thanking Lucas for the first aid before vowing to make the attackers pay. Tichy declares she's reporting this to the student council, but Kai doubts they'll listen if even the teachers don't care. But Lucas just smirks, a chilling glint in his eye as he says he doesn't mind their indifference. Tichy watches him, realizing the gentle boy she knew has been replaced by someone far more dangerous. His eyes burn with cold fury as he vows to get revenge for this grievance. His quest for justice leads him straight to the lavish student council room. The president listens with his eyes closed, calmly taking in their request. With a placid smile, he confirms their demand for a duel against Mr. Greg's class. Lucas lays out their terms, an apology if they win, and a priceless S-rank bonus if they lose. But Theod just scoffs, questioning their lack of proof and the so-called bonus they're offering. He dangles the monster tooth pendant, the very prize Lucas won in the tournament. The students can only watch as their hard-earned prize is used to mock them. With a fake apology, the president accidentally drops the pendant on the floor. He then leans in with a smug grin, questioning why they'd wager such a cheap item on a major duel. The president's disrespect lands on the floor, a clear challenge to their honor. Kai's eyes blaze with fury, his noble pride pushed to its absolute limit. He turns on Lucas, furious that his friend isn't reacting to the blatant insult. But Lucas calmly challenges the president, asking what wager he would find acceptable. Theod leans back with a smug grin, intrigued by the boy's unexpected defiance. He suggests a prize more fitting for the academy, something truly unique. The president's voice drops, a sinister new idea taking shape. With a wicked smile, he proposes they wager their entry into the legendary Aaron Tower. Theod lays out the brutal terms. The losing side is permanently banned from the tower. Lucas's eyes gleam with cold resolve as he accepts the high-stakes gamble without hesitation. The duel is set for 2 days, and the entire academy is buzzing with anticipation. The smug instructor Greg even rewards 3 students for betraying their own department, but their teacher Sigurd says nothing, simply pushing his remaining students to their absolute limits. Lucas's eyes burn with a cold fire, his mind set on one thing: victory. On the day of the duel, a massive crowd gathers in the arena, ready for a spectacle. The entire school watches as the 3 martial artists step forward to defend their honor. Their opponent Rila smirks, offering them a chance to apologize before their public humiliation. But Lucas calmly retorts that the battle's outcome is far from decided. His teammate draws a blade, ready to end the condescending trash talk quickly. The proctor adjusts his glasses, officially signaling the start of the high-stakes duel. The duel begins, and the martial artist explodes into action, dagger at the ready. His mage opponent counters, summoning a powerful storm of icy shards. But the martial artist is a blur of motion, effortlessly deflecting the magical barrage. The mage is stunned, unable to believe his powerful spell was completely neutralized. With a condescending smirk, the martial artist taunts his opponent's pathetic opening move. He stands completely unfazed amidst the shattered ice, clearly unimpressed by the mage's power. The mage adjusts his glasses, his shock quickly turning into a calculated calm. A sinister smile reveals his true plan. The musclehead just walked right into his trap. Suddenly, the ground erupts in a flash of icy energy, catching the martial artist completely off guard. Jagged crystals shoot up from the floor, completely encasing his legs in an unbreakable prison of ice. The mage gloats over his trapped opponent, declaring there's nowhere left to run. Surrounded by a brilliant magic circle, he prepares to deliver the final condescending blow. He unleashes a massive wave of ice, intending to end the duel in a single decisive blast. A single drop of blood hits the ground, a grim sign that the martial artist has been struck. The mage smirks, asking if his opponent finally understands the power gap between them. Completely encased in ice, the martial artist is defeated, a painful lesson in underestimating a mage. The defeated student struggles to speak, his body already succumbing to the freezing spell. His opponent leans in with a sneer, demanding he speak up if he's ready to surrender. Rila and her cronies watch from the sidelines, smugly declaring that a weakling is still a weakling. She offers him a sliver of mercy, but only if he admits defeat and begs for his life. But the defeated student just glares, cutting off the mage's gloating with a single question. He reveals a glowing surprise, asking if the mage's ice can handle pure lava. Rila screams in a panic, realizing her teammate just fell for a desperate suicidal trap. Lucas's eyes narrow as he shouts a warning, sensing the imminent explosion. The lava bomb detonates, engulfing the arena floor in a fiery blast. The smug mage is sent flying, completely unprepared for the self-destructive counterattack. His opponent reveals the trap was lava slime jelly, a gamble that cost him dearly. The martial artist lunges through the smoke, striking his foe with a hidden magical weapon. Stunned by the use of a magic item, the mage is caught completely off guard by the decisive blow. The crowd gasps in horror, realizing the martial artist sacrificed his own leg to win the duel. Lucas is stunned by his teammate's insane resolve, realizing he sacrificed his own leg just to win. The injured student smirks, knowing Lucas was right. Shattering the mage's pride was the key to victory. His opponent is in disbelief, his ego completely shattered that a lowly martial artist even touched him. The mage furiously charges a final spell, screaming that his injured opponent is a sitting duck. But the martial artist reveals another trick up his sleeve, a blinding flash potion. He unleashes the potion, engulfing the arena in a brilliant, disorienting light. The mage screams in shock as his opponent leaps through the flash, completely unfazed and ready to strike. With a glowing red eye, the martial artist complains about ice users while shattering the last of his restraints. The terrified mage can only scream for him to stay away, his confidence completely gone. But the martial artist ends the duel with a brutal headbutt, proving that up close, mages don't stand a chance. The mage's glasses shatter as his face connects with his opponent's forehead. A brutal impact sends the arrogant mage flying backwards across the arena floor. The defeated mage can only stare in disbelief, his ice shield and his ego completely shattered. With a triumphant roar, the injured martial artist declares the first victory for his department. He boasts about his peak condition, but Lucas reveals the secret was a homemade power-up potion in his breakfast. His confidence quickly fades as he worries about Tishy's upcoming match against the ruthless Rila. But Lucas calmly reassures him, confident that their class rep can handle the pressure. Rila's friends scoff, convinced the previous mage only lost because he went easy on a noble. Tishy's eyes burn with fury, disgusted by their refusal to admit her teammate won by his own skill. The second duel begins, and Tishy is immediately blasted backwards by a powerful opening strike. Rila unleashes a barrage of magical projectiles, but Tishy's thorny defense holds strong. The class rep scoffs at the surprise attack as Rila mocks their code of honor. With a sneer, the mage declares that unlike them, she only cares about winning. But Tishy explodes through the barrier, closing the distance in a shocking burst of speed. She lands a solid punch, her eyes blazing with a fury that defies her level. Rila is stunned, unable to comprehend how a mere level 1 could possess such speed. Her eyes flare with a new power, refusing to be beaten by a lowly martial artist. Tishy grabs her arm mid-cast, ready to deliver a lesson on more than just fighting. The arrogant mage can only stare as Tishy explains the true source of her strength. With glowing eyes, she reveals their code isn't a weakness, it's a vow to protect life. Tishy unleashes a flurry of precise strikes, targeting the mage's weak points with brutal efficiency. Lucas clenches his fist, a silent acknowledgement of his class rep's incredible skill. He thinks to himself that he expected nothing less from the sharp-eyed Tichy. With Rila trapped in thorns, Tichy delivers a final, chilling warning about underestimating their pride. The second match ends with a decisive victory for the martial arts department, leaving Rila unconscious. But a closer look reveals a dirty trick. The defeated mage had poison needles hidden up her sleeve. The vice president confronts Theod, demanding to know why he allowed such a dangerous weapon in the duel. He just sips his tea, casually dismissing her concerns since no one was seriously hurt. Elsewhere, the smug instructor fumes, admitting Sigurt's choice for class rep was a stroke of genius. His students are equally furious, their grand plan to humiliate the martial artist now a public failure. The final mage, Andre, believes he still has a secret technique that can turn the tide. Lucas takes his stance, ready to end this duel once and for all. His opponent draws a magical blade, preparing to unleash his own brand of speed. The holographic proctor officially begins the third and final match.
The magician vanished in a flash. Our hero, Lucas, quickly sharpened his focus. He perceived the magician moving with incredible speed. The magician left a trail of afterimages as he circled Lucas. Tichy and Kai watched, surprised, wondering how Lucas would respond to such speed. Meanwhile, Lucas quietly deliberated on the optimal amount of power to unleash. Then, with a sudden burst of power from his legs, he dashed forward. He instantly appeared before the magician, having decided on using just 5% of his full strength. The magician recoiled, startled. Impossible, he thought, how did he find me? Yet our hero's attack missed its mark. The magician glanced at Lucas's hand, which had narrowly missed striking near his head. The magician quickly retreated, then launched a magical dagger directly at Lucas. For a fleeting moment, Lucas thought he had merely imagined a terrifying presence. Still unnerved, the magician activated his wand. The dagger, now imbued with magic, returned, grazing our hero's neck. Lucas remained silent, his expression unreadable. The magician leapt into the air, dagger raised, declaring, "You won't withstand my bone-shattering art." He swung his dagger viciously at our hero. To his shock, the magician felt no resistance in his strike. Why did my bone-shattering art have no effect on Lucas, he wondered. Lucas dodged, then countered with a swift movement, stating, "Don't think you're winning without taking any damage." Meanwhile, Kai was sweating, mesmerized by the high-paced battle unfolding before him. The magician slid back towards Lucas, attempting to launch a sneak attack. He launched his dagger directly at Lucas's face. But to his utter surprise, Lucas caught his hand mid-motion, stopping it just short. Now, Lucas declared, looking at him, "It's my turn." Lucas's foot struck the earth with surprising force. A cloud of dust erupted, shrouding both Lucas and the magician in a dense smokescreen, obscuring them from prying eyes. The magician reeled in disbelief, stunned that a martial artist, supposedly a mere level 1, could generate such power from a single kick. Lucas's gaze sharpened, telling the magician that now, with their privacy secured, there was no need to worry about onlookers. He then asked if the magician was ready. Panic flared in the magician's eyes, and he hastily conjured his magic dagger, but before he could even swing it, Lucas moved like a blur, snatching the weapon away and slamming the magician violently to the ground. He then plunged the dagger into the magician's palm. With a crack, the magical blade shattered, dissolving into thin air. A guttural grunt of pain escaped the magician's lips, his palm throbbing and bleeding. "Doesn't this scene feel familiar to you?" Lucas asked, a chilling edge to his voice. He pressed on, "How does it feel to be stabbed by your own weapon, the very one you used against Alto that day?" As he spoke, Lucas lunged into the air, raising his leg for a kick, unleashing only 2% of his immense strength. The kick connected, sending the magician flying through the air. It landed perfectly on the magician's face, leaving a clear imprint. The magician coughed blood, his cries echoing in agony. Lucas's eyes glowed crimson as he swiftly closed the distance, his fist poised for another strike. Meanwhile, the magician's mind raced, wondering why his magic wouldn't obey, fearing the last attack had severed his magical meridians. Beyond the swirling smokescreen, the onlookers grew increasingly anxious, utterly unaware of the brutal confrontation unfolding within. Just as Lucas's punch was about to connect with the magician's battered face, the magician screamed, "I surrender." His admission of defeat echoed as the smoke began to clear. Lucas froze, his attack halted, but an undeniable dissatisfaction lingered on his face. From the crowd, Teacher Greg, the magician's own instructor, bellowed, "Why are you giving up? You can easily defeat him with your abilities." He spoke from ignorance, having never witnessed Lucas's true strength. Lucas's teacher, Sugarat, internally scoffed at Greg's ineptitude, unable to perceive the severe state his student, the magician, was truly in. Lucas's classmates from the martial arts department erupted in cheers, praising him for securing their final victory. One student excitedly remarked that perhaps martial artists truly could triumph in duels against mages. Suddenly, Tishi's eyes widened in utter shock. The magician, miraculously holding a dagger once more, lunged at Lucas from behind in a treacherous sneak attack. Before the blow could land, Lucas simply vanished. He reappeared behind the magician, his hands glowing with a soft yellow aura. With 2 fingers, he gripped the magician's neck, employing a strange martial technique. The magician choked out a question, wondering what Lucas had done, feeling as if something vital was draining from his body. With tear-filled eyes, the magician finally succumbed, losing consciousness. He collapsed, passing out cold, his face hitting the ground with a dull thud. Looking down at the fallen figure, Lucas stated that when the magician employed the bone-crushing technique, he should have considered the possibility of being counterattacked by the same method. The referee's voice boomed, announcing that despite the magician's treacherous sneak attack after surrendering, Lucas had decisively defeated his opponent, securing complete victory for the martial arts department. Meanwhile, Lucas's cousin, who had witnessed the technique, was consumed by shock, utterly unable to comprehend what she had seen. The technique resembled meridian severance, an advanced art detailed in ancient texts. Julia, her companion, asked what had happened. Lost in thought, she didn't respond, pondering that no martial artist in the Empire had successfully used such a technique in a century. A single question burned in her mind: Lucas, who exactly are you? The martial arts students continued their cheers, showering compliments on the three victors as they made their way back to the dormitory. A girl, grinning after watching her teammates' matches, declared that mages weren't so strong after all. From now on, she vowed she'd challenge any mage who dared to look down on her. Tisha urged her to calm down, reminding her that today they had simply performed better than usual. Suddenly, the overconfident girl bumped into a figure that felt as solid as a wall. It was none other than Teacher Sugarrat, who, with crossed arms and a stern gaze, chastised them for becoming cocky after a mere minor victory. Frightened, the girl meekly mentioned that they had also won the taming tournament. Teacher Sugarrat clarified that their taming victory was merely due to the beasts being under intense stress from the prolonged attacks of the previous students. In other words, it had simply been luck. He then asserted that only the 3 duel matches had been won through genuine skill. Pointing to the winners, he declared that only they possessed true ability, not the entire martial arts department. So let me ask you, he continued, do you intend to live your entire lives as mere hangers-on to the strong? Even if you are unreasonably attacked and nearly killed like Collins and Alto were? Are you content to leave revenge and even your own survival to the hands of others? Before turning away, Teacher Sugarrat delivered his final words: if you truly believe such a way of living is acceptable, you will never become strong. He then walked away, suggesting they would be better off quitting the martial arts department immediately. Stung by the harsh truth, the overconfident girl now declared, this is truly frustrating. I will definitely get stronger and prove myself. Lucas reflected that his teacher was right. Confidence was important, but it must never overshadow rigorous training. After distancing himself from the students, now in a quiet garden, the teacher was halted by the click of high heels. A woman's voice remarked, you're really starting to act like a proper homeroom teacher. Teacher Sugarrat replied that he simply didn't want them to end up like him, then inquired about her purpose for visiting. The blonde woman, leaning against a tree, handed him an envelope sealed with red wax. The scene then shifted to the hands of the defeated magician, whose magical meridians were now bursting in a grotesque spiderweb pattern. The young man stared at his hand, a pained grumble escaping his lips. The night fell, and a horse carriage, driven with urgency, sped towards the magnificent clock tower. A man burst into the building, his fist tightly clenched, his face a mask of fury. He slammed his hand onto a nearby table, demanding to know how a simple freshman duel could have escalated into such a disaster. He roared that his son Bike had his magical meridians shattered, forever losing the ability to wield magic. The headmaster listened in stunned silence, uncertain how to address the situation. His face contorted with pure rage, he insisted the headmaster impose severe punishment and disband the martial arts department, holding them accountable. Bike's father's attention suddenly shifted to the shattering sound of a liquor bottle hitting the ground. Teacher Sugarrat entered, calmly stating that the perpetrator certainly deserved punishment. He then revealed that all 3 of Greg's students had employed the identical magic previously used on Colin and Alto, strongly implicating them as the ones who severely injured his own students. With a grave expression, he urged the headmaster to punish Greg and his students severely, strictly adhering to school regulations. The teacher inwardly lamented, convinced those 3 foolish students had even resorted to forbidden, illegal arts to overpower their opponents in the duel. Teacher Greg, however, wondered why this accusation was being brought up at such an inconvenient moment. The teacher then loudly questioned Teacher Greg for attempting to change the subject when the focus remained on who was responsible for his student being struck by a forbidden technique. Teacher Sugarrat, maintaining a calm demeanor, explained that the technique's forbidden nature remained unconfirmed, and a meridian crusher was far beyond the capabilities of a rookie martial artist. Bike's father conceded in his thoughts. It was indeed unlikely that Ryan's incompetent son, scorned by the gods, could possibly command an ancient forbidden technique. Teacher Greg then waved a dismissive finger, asserting that an advanced martial artist, however, could certainly wield a forbidden technique. He pointed out that the only advanced martial artist present at the duel site was Teacher Sugarrat himself. Teacher Greg then fixed his gaze on Teacher Sugarrat. He stepped closer, confronting Sugarrat face-to-face, and lightly tapped his finger on Sugarrat's chest, implying, could it be that you are the true culprit? Sugarrat retorted that if he possessed such a forbidden technique, he would have used it on Teacher Greg long ago. The headmaster interjected, asking how Sugarrat then explained Bike's current devastating condition. Teacher Sugarrat simply suggested it might be Bike's own karma. He recalled a conversation with Lucas, who had denied using forbidden techniques, offering a different theory instead. Lucas had speculated that Bike was illicitly acquiring dirty techniques from the black market, paying enormous sums for them. Lucas had further theorized that perhaps those from the black market grew concerned about their secrets being exposed. Sugarrat finished Lucas's thought, suggesting a powerful figure from the underworld had seized the opportunity of the duel to make their move. Back in the present, the headmaster stroked his chin thoughtfully, deep in contemplation. Bike's father scoffed, refusing to believe such ridiculous rumors could simply dismiss the matter. Teacher Greg agreed, calling it mere speculation. Sugarrat argued it was still more plausible than a beginner martial artist wielding an ancient forbidden technique. Regardless, he stressed, someone capable of such power had indeed been present. Teacher Sugarat then issued a stern warning to Bike's father, carelessly incurring that person's wrath would lead to grave consequences. The scene then shifted to a different section of the Grand Clock Tower. Inside the colossal library, Director Atani moved along a corridor, a lamp illuminating his path. He finally stopped before a particular book, a triumphant found it, escaping his lips. Holding the book, he observed its dust-free surface, a clear sign of recent use. Placing the lamp on the floor, he began to rapidly flip through the book's pages. His eyes halted on a page depicting the very two-finger claw technique Lucas had employed during the duel. A satisfied grin spread across his face as he murmured, "Just as I thought." He then erupted into a burst of laughter. Meanwhile, the scene transitioned to the hot springs nestled deep within the magical Beast Mountain range. There, our hero poured a potent potion into the spring, thinking it was time to complete Alto and Colin's treatment. Alto and Colin sat, unclad, submerged in the steaming waters of the spring. The potion quickly diffused, transforming the spring into a dazzling blue. Alto let out a pained grunt as his body shimmered with ethereal glitters. The potion began to work its magic on his bandaged wounds. Streams of brilliant blue energy coursed through his muscles, mending them. Colin, too, grumbled in discomfort as the recovery process took hold. Blue energy flowed, repairing his muscles and tendons with the potion's powerful touch. Our hero watched them, silently acknowledging their pain but urging them to endure just a little longer. He clenched his fist, a determined expression on his face. He declared that even martial artists possess the ability to employ healing techniques, just like mages. Days blurred into one another, and the focus of our tale now settled upon Dak Town, a place dominated by a formidable castle, its high concrete fences reaching toward the sky. Into this imposing town, a horse-drawn carriage clattered, its arrival heralded by the coachman's booming voice. From within, Lucas's father emerged, tenderly helping his wife descend, a smile of anticipation on his face as he spoke of their children whom they would soon embrace. Lucas's mother surveyed the familiar surroundings, her gaze sweeping over the town as she remarked that time seemed to have left this place untouched. Noticing a shadow cross his wife's face, Lucas's father, Holt, gently called out her name, Catherine. Catherine offered a reassuring smile. "Don't worry," she said, "I was merely lost in a memory of the past." As they stood, a lone figure on horseback approached the couple. Lucas's mother's eyes, upon seeing him, welled up with tears of pure joy. The young man dismounted, stepping forward. It was signed Miranda, Catherine's younger brother and the father of Awa. For those who might have forgotten, Awa was Lucas's cousin, a talented young mage who had achieved the second position in the magical department, just behind young Julia. Signed, seeing his sister offered a heartfelt greeting. A decade earlier, under a sky stained dark crimson, the beast folk tribes had unleashed a devastating assault upon the Empire's borders. This marked the beginning of frequent and brutal conflicts in the region. Humanity, united against this threat, had fought fiercely. For 3 days and 3 nights the battle raged, leaving both sides with heavy casualties. Amidst the chaos, a young Catherine stood, her magic blazing as she fought valiantly against the encroaching beasts. A cunning beast unnoticed launched a sneak attack, its claws poised to strike her down. But in a flash, young Knight Commander Holt Ryan intervened, his blade swiftly severing the beast's head, shielding Catherine and enveloping her in his protective embrace. Holt Ryan was a master of martial arts, his strength and skill unmatched. Catherine, on the other hand, commanded the arcane arts, a powerful magician. Having faced the brink of death side by side, an undeniable bond formed between them, blossoming into love. They vowed then and there to spend their lives together as one. Yet Catherine's father, Duke Miranda, vehemently opposed their union. In a heartbreaking decision, Catherine chose her love, severing all ties with the Miranda family. And so, after countless years, these siblings found themselves reunited here at the Allen Magic Academy. Back in the present, Sine observed how swiftly time had flown. As they walked, their conversation flowed easily. Sine mentioned he'd heard glowing reports of her children's excellence, adding that their father had even remarked on Julia's striking resemblance to Catherine in her youth. Catherine's face lit up in surprise. "So he acknowledges Julia and the others," she mused, a hopeful tremor in her voice. Sine then asked if she would consider returning home, confessing that deep down, their father had always wished to see her. A wave of happiness washed over Catherine at this revelation. Sine let out a soft sigh. "Yes," he clarified, "but only you." Catherine understood immediately. Her father still harbored resentment and would not welcome Holt, her husband. Holt, having overheard their conversation from behind, stepped forward. "Go on ahead," he encouraged her gently. "I need to report to the front lines anyway." Her heart ached for her father to accept Holt as well. She turned to her husband, about to protest. Holt interrupted, his voice firm yet loving. "It's fine, Catherine. I'm just glad they'll let you return home, even if it's alone. I'll come pick you up once the campaign ends." With that, he turned and walked purposefully toward the town gates. Sine watched him go, a silent thought forming in his mind. Holt, swallowing his pride for Catherine's sake, had secretly sought his help to reconcile her with their father. He truly was a good husband. Yet the old duke still couldn't forgive the fact that his noble mage daughter had married a mere martial artist. Sine's eyes narrowed thoughtfully. If only someday. If only someone could emerge to shatter society's entrenched prejudice against martial artists. At that very moment, the scene shifted, finding Lucas in a distant location mid-sneeze. Rubbing his nose, Lucas wondered aloud if he'd caught a cold, despite his rigorous training. He, his sister Julia, and Kai were walking together, Kai laden with food. Julia teasingly remarked on Kai's unusual generosity in buying food for others. Indeed, Kai was burdened with numerous lunchboxes and bags of food. He chuckled, promising Julia that once Alto and the others fully recovered, he'd make sure they treated him in return. Lucas chimed in, finding no fault in Kai's plan. Nearby, magician students murmured amongst themselves. Look, it's the martial arts department's Luck King, one whispered. Apparently an assassin attacked Bike right before their duel and he only won by sheer luck. Another voice chimed in, blessed with luck 3 times in a row. What's the deal with that? Julia, who had been silently absorbing their disparaging remarks about her brother, began to stir. She slowly turned toward the gossiping students, a demonic shadow seeming to fall over them. They instantly blanched, falling silent as she demanded to know whose gossip she was hearing. Kai quickly told Lucas he would take the lunch to the dorm, suggesting Lucas go to the cafeteria with Julia first. Lucas readily agreed, leaving Julia behind, still delivering a stern lecture to the now terrified gossips. Later, at a cafeteria table, Julia took a spoonful of food, her face transforming into an expression of pure delight. Lucas, taking a bite from his bread, noticed her hairpin. Is that new? He asked. She confirmed it was, explaining that Awa-chan had given it to her as a gift from the Miranda family. As he chewed, Lucas internally mused that it was no surprise the Miranda family sought to reconnect with Julia, hoping to mend family ties. She was, after all, an undeniable genius mage. Pushing some of his own food closer to Julia, he urged her to get along well with Awa for their mother's sake. Julia, hearing mother, remembered, speaking of mother, I need to write a letter informing her I become class representative. From behind, a blue-haired girl, having overheard, stepped forward and warmly congratulated Julia on her new position. Leaning in conspiratorially, the blue-haired girl declared that Julia would undoubtedly become a pillar of the school in the future, assuring her of unwavering support. Just then, a nearby girl abruptly rose from her seat with a loud thud, startling the blue-haired girl. The girl then hurried away, bumping shoulders with another student, who indignantly demanded to know where she was looking. A close-up from behind revealed a black-haired woman with bangs framing her forehead, her teeth clenched in silent fury. In the quiet confines of a teacher's office a short time ago, a tense conversation was unfolding. A student stood stiffly before the desk, listening as her seated teacher delivered a difficult assessment. Your abilities in mental magic, the teacher began, are indeed comparable to Julia's. However, she continued, a note of finality in his voice, Julia surpasses you in every other aspect. That is why I believe she is the more suitable candidate for class representative. Awa, please try to understand. The words hung in the air, but all Awa could do was grit her teeth, a bitter wave of frustration washing over her. Returning to the present, Awa stormed out of the bustling cafeteria. Her fist was clenched so tightly her knuckles were white, and a silent vow echoed in her mind. She would prove through sheer skill that the teacher was merely playing favorites. From her table, Julia watched the hurried exit, a flicker of confusion crossing her face. She's gone, Julia murmured to her companions. She seemed really angry about something. A small frown creased Julia's brow as she realized something else. Awa hasn't been eating properly either. I think I'll buy her some lunch and bring it to her. The blue-haired girl beside her, Mina, looked up with curiosity. Are you too close, Julia? Yes, she's my roommate, Julia confirmed with a nod. And her mental magic is incredible. I saw it for the first time today. Lucas, sitting with them, chimed in. Mental magic is certainly a rare talent. Mina opened her mouth as if to add something, but then she hesitated, her thought left unspoken. Instead, she lightly tapped a single finger against the tabletop, a faint shimmer of magic gathering at its tip. In response, a translucent blue sigil bloomed on the floor beneath them, expanding upward into a shimmering sphere that enveloped their table. Lucas recognized it instantly. It was a mute spell, a magical barrier designed to prevent any sound from escaping. With her expression turning serious, almost dark, Mina mumbled under her breath, when they're too smart, they're hard to handle. Her demeanor shifted back to normal just as quickly. My wind magic is quite interesting, she offered to Julia. I could teach you if you'd like. But her words were lost on Julia, whose attention was completely captured by the plate of food Lucas was passing to her. Lucas paused, a bite of food halfway to his mouth, and looked directly at Mina. You didn't cast a soundproofing spell just to make small talk, did you? Mina adjusted her glasses, a wry thought crossing her mind. Her brother was as sharp as ever. You're perceptive, she admitted. Very well, I'll be direct. Her voice lowered slightly. You're both aware of the magical Beast Mountain range behind the school, I assume. There's been a strange ecological anomaly reported there recently. The population of lower-level magical beasts has dropped drastically. Even the magic crest leopard cubs, which were once common, have vanished without a trace. Then, 3 days ago, the Empire's investigation team discovered the lair of a high-level magical beast. The news struck a chord. A silver spoon slipped from Julia's fingers, clattering against her plate. Don't tell me, she breathed, her voice barely a whisper, it's L. Lucas let out a sharp, pointed cough, a clear signal for her to say no more. Her eyes widened as she clapped a hand over her mouth, realizing she had spoken her thought aloud. The name meant nothing to Mina. Seizing the moment, Lucas smoothly changed the subject, a casual smile on his face. So this is about a field mission for us, what's the difficulty level? Mina pushed her glasses up the bridge of her nose. It's worth 100 points. A stunned silence fell over the table. The sheer number of points was staggering, leaving both Julia and Lucas in a state of shock. Julia and I can handle it, Lucas declared with a newfound determination. The world of the school faded, giving way to the opulent halls of the Miranda Manor. A servant moved silently through the grand dining room, carrying a silver tray laden with glasses of deep red wine. One glass was presented to a regally dressed man at the head of the table. This was Soa Miranda, Duke Miranda, the formidable head of the Miranda family. Seated at the long, polished table for their midday meal were the Duke, his son Sine, and his daughter Catherine. As Sine took a bite of roasted meat, his thoughts drifted. Catherine's old room had been perfectly prepared, yet their father insisted she stay in a guest room. The man's stubbornness was truly something to behold. He narrowed his eyes, his gaze sweeping across the table. He noted that his sister hadn't touched a single bite of her food. The oppressive silence hanging over them felt more suited for a funeral than a family lunch. The Duke placed his fork down with a soft click that echoed in the quiet room. Catherine. Startled by the sudden use of her name, she looked up. Regarding Julia, he continued, his tone formal, a girl with the qualities to become a holy archmage. I am willing to recognize her as my granddaughter. Thank you, Father, Catherine said, a hint of hope in her voice. And Lucas is also an excellent martial artist. He scored perfectly. The Duke cut her off flatly. No matter how excellent a martial artist is, it is meaningless. What the Miranda family seeks is only those with the talent to become holy archmages. A frown etched itself onto Catherine's face. She rose from her seat and began to walk away, a familiar resignation settling in her heart. His prejudice against martial artists would never change. As she turned, a servant approached the Duke. The servant presented a sealed letter. Your Grace, new information has arrived from the investigation team in the Magical Beast Mountain Range. Catherine and Sine exchanged a startled glance. Why a sudden investigation there, of all places? The Duke broke the seal and read the brief message. A new area has been discovered beneath the beast's den. The danger level is unknown. Did something happen at the mountain range? Sine asked. Catherine, her mind immediately on her children at Allen Magic Academy, voiced her own fear. Will they be in danger? Duke Miranda rose from his chair, his presence commanding. Allen Magic Academy has its teachers and my own subordinates are stationed there. As long as the students remain within the school grounds, there should be no danger. As he prepared to depart, he turned to Catherine with one final instruction. Wait until this matter is settled before you go to see the children. She hesitated for a moment before acquiescing. Yes, Father. But as he left, a deep and undeniable worry washed over her features. The following day at Allen Magic Academy, a student clerk looked up from the mission board with an apologetic expression. To accept this mission, he explained, you now need a minimum of 5 people, and at least one of them must be a student member. The sudden change hit Mina like a physical blow. What? She shouted, her sharp voice startling several nearby students who turned to stare. She leaned over the desk, her voice dropping to an intense whisper. When I checked yesterday, there was no limit on the number of people. The clerk shifted uncomfortably. I'm sorry, the president changed the mission requirements. There was an anomaly reported in the cave within the mountain range. Mina's hands clenched into fists at her sides as an image of the smug student council president flashed in her mind. That man, she grunted under her breath. He deliberately changed the conditions, betting I couldn't gather 5 people. Standing behind her, Lucas watched the scene unfold with a sense of detached curiosity. Is the student council vice president so isolated that she can't even find 4 others to join her? No wonder she's been so friendly with Julia since the entrance exam, he mused. With a heavy sigh of defeat, Mina turned back to Julia and Lucas. Sorry, she said, her shoulders slumping. It looks like we'll have to give up on this mission. Lucas and Julia, however, exchanged a look of shared determination. Don't worry, they said in near unison, just leave the recruiting to us. A surprising wave of emotion washed over Mina, and she felt tears of gratitude welling in her eyes as she thanked them. They're such good kids, she thought, a pang of guilt striking her. I'm starting to feel bad about planning to use them as pawns. But she instantly pushed the sentimental thought away, regretting the momentary weakness. Just then, a loud voice accompanied by the clanking of metal called out, Senior Mina. A figure in gleaming armor strode toward them. Since my best friend Lucas is going on a field mission, I'll lend you a hand. It was Kai, covered head to toe in full plate armor, a massive shield on his arm and a sword at his hip. It's about time I used the advanced equipment my parents bought me, he thought with a private thrill of excitement. Then a beautiful silver-haired girl peeked out from behind Lucas. Nice to meet you, she said softly. I specialize in water-based healing magic, so I believe I can be of service. Mina mentally ate her words about leaving the recruiting to them. Her heart sank as she looked at the new arrivals. These kids are all freshmen, they'll just be a burden. Lucas leaned over and whispered to Julia. Why did you call Mia-san instead of Awa? Julia's whispered reply was simple. Awa-chan wouldn't have listened to me. A frown creased Mina's brow, but she quickly smoothed it over. Well, whatever. They're just here to make up the numbers anyway. As for the mission itself, Julia and I should be able to handle it. Deciding to set off immediately, she activated her acceleration magic. Even with this, it will take half a day to walk to the magical beast's den, she announced to the newly formed group. So let's hurry. Several hours of brisk walking passed, the terrain growing wilder and more remote. They finally arrived at their destination, the dark maw of the magical beast's den looming before them. Near the entrance, a flag bearing the Miranda family symbol fluttered in the breeze. Looks like the Miranda family's survey team is currently investigating this place, Mina told the group. She knelt down, her fingers brushing against something soft in the dirt. She picked up a vibrant blue feather. There are traces of a battle here. A short distance away, Lucas and Julia shared a private sigh of relief. At least they hadn't stumbled upon El's cave. Suddenly, a primal sense of danger flared through Lucas, sharpening his senses to a razor's edge. His eyes shot upward, spotting a harpy diving from the sky, its claws extended directly for him. Attacks from above, he yelled, warning the others. Mina reacted in an instant, her magic wand glowing as she began to chant a spell. Wind Blade, a shimmering scythe of compressed air shot from her wand and slammed into the harpy, causing it to spew a mouthful of blood. The force of the spell nearly tore the creature in two. At the same moment, Lucas dodged the attack of a second harpy, casually leaning his head and body aside as its claws swiped through empty air. Another harpy appeared behind Mina, launching a volley of sharp, arrow-like feathers at her back. She sensed the attack and spun, her wand already raised to cast a counter spell. But before she could, Kai lunged between her and the harpy. His massive shield took the full brunt of the attack, the feathers pinging harmlessly off the reinforced steel. He turned his head toward her with a wide, confident grin. "Leave the close combat to us." His boast, however, left him distracted for a crucial second, as another harpy's claws slashed toward his exposed side. Before the talons could connect, Lucas closed the distance in a flash, delivering a powerful upward kick that cleanly severed the creature's feet. Lucas and Kai now stood back to back, a solid core in the swirling chaos. "Stay focused," Lucas commanded, his voice calm and level. From their position in the rear, Mia completed her spell, a shimmering water spirit barrier enveloping the two fighters. "Leave the support to me," she declared confidently. More and more harpies filled the sky, their shrieks echoing off the rocks as they completely surrounded the small group. Mina watched the freshmen working together and felt a strange sense of nostalgia, this feeling of a team coordinating, of everyone having each other's back. It had been a while. She turned to Julia, her voice cutting through the din. "These magical beasts dislike wind and lightning magic." Her eyes widened in sheer disbelief at the sudden, overwhelming surge of magical power that erupted from Julia. Julia raised her staff high, and the very air around her began to thrum and crackle with raw purple lightning. "Barrier magic," she commanded, her voice ringing with power. A complex magical circle flared to life at her feet as a massive, crackling sphere of electrical energy expanded outwards, encasing the entire party. The harpies that swooped into attack were instantly struck by brilliant arcs of lightning that leaped from the barrier's surface. They fell from the sky in smoking heaps, charred black and lifeless. "Whoa," Kai breathed, staring in awe at the display of Julia's power. Mina was utterly speechless, her mind struggling to comprehend such devastating magical force from a first-year student. Julia called out to her, but the vice president was still lost in her thoughts, reevaluating everything she thought she knew. Snapping back to the present, she gave Julia a shaky nod. "Everything is fine." A single bead of sweat traced a path down her cheek as a chilling realization dawned on her. She had completely and utterly underestimated the capabilities of these pawns. With a gentle glow, Mia extended her hand, her healing magic swirling forth to mend Kai's fresh injuries. Kai marveled at the instant restoration, proclaiming her magic, likening her to a goddess herself. A shy flush touched her cheeks as she brushed off his praise as mere exaggeration. Yet secretly, her mind conjured an image of the hero whispering those very words. The imagined scene ignited a brilliant pink explosion within her thoughts, leaving her utterly flustered and overcome with embarrassment. The hero observed her peculiar reaction, a puzzled frown creasing his brow as he tried to decipher the mystery of her sudden mortification. Their journey then led them deeper into the maw of a vast cave, Mina voicing her astonishment at its sheer cavernous scale. The tip of her magic staff pulsed with light, pushing back the oppressive darkness and unveiling the true immensity of the subterranean world before them. Julia, equally impressed, pointed out the subtle signs that hinted at an even grander chamber lying hidden much deeper within the earth. Together, the two girls took the lead, Mina's steadfast light serving as their beacon, guiding the small party through the encroaching gloom. Even Kai gasped in surprise, his gaze sweeping across another immense passage wide enough, he declared, for an entire army to march abreast. The hero, a somber realization dawning upon him, concluded that this cavern was no natural formation, but rather an artificially carved lair, likely a den for subterranean horrors. He issued a grave warning to his companions, urging unwavering vigilance, for with every step deeper into the earth, the perils would only multiply. Suddenly, without so much as a rustle, several grotesque goblins burst from the enveloping shadows, their crude axes glinting menacingly as they lunged at the group. Julia reacted instantly, conjuring a vibrant sphere of purple energy that erupted into a shower of powerful lightning, electrocuting the attacking creatures. Piercing shrieks of agony tore through the cavern as the goblins were struck by the girl's potent magic, their forms seizing before collapsing lifelessly to the cold stone floor. Mina quickly explained that these creatures were blind, relying solely on sound, and for this brief moment their assault had bought them a precious reprieve. Yet a note of caution entered her voice. To engage every beast in battle would surely stretch their arduous journey into an eternity. A confident smirk played on Kai's lips as he declared he possessed an ingenious strategy to tackle their monstrous predicament. A short while later, a plume of smoke began to curl upwards from the depths of the dark cave, precisely where Kai had boldly ventured. Then Kai himself appeared, a blur of motion racing directly towards his companions, every single goblin in the vast cavern now snapping to attention and giving chase. Julia readied her distinctive cat-eared staff, gathering her formidable magical power for a mighty spell, while Mina likewise prepared her own staff, tracing a shimmering circle of blue energy upon the cavern floor. A jolt of pure horror coursed through Kai as he suddenly comprehended the girls' audacious plan. They intended to unleash their attack while he was still utterly enveloped by the monstrous horde. Without hesitation, the two unleashed their synchronized magic, directing a torrent of combined spells towards the overwhelming swarm of creatures within the cavern. Their concentrated magic struck the goblins head-on, culminating in a blinding explosion of brilliant light and raw purple energy. The girls' combined explosion unleashed an immense shock wave, a devastating force that tore through everything caught in its destructive path. The hero and Mia watched the spectacle unfold, the former remarking with an appreciative nod on the sheer efficiency of Kai's daring strategy. Swelling with pride, Kai then launched into a triumphant boast about his brilliant foresight in luring all the enemies into such a convenient, concentrated location. He even went so far as to assert that only a hero adorned with his caliber of top-tier equipment could possibly execute such a daring maneuver. Indeed, thanks to Kai's audacious scheme, the entire monstrous threat was swiftly and effectively eradicated, leaving the path clear. Once again, Mia stepped forward, her gentle magic flowing forth to mend the various scrapes and bruises Kai had inevitably sustained during his dramatic escapade. Pushing deeper into the cavern, they stumbled upon an astonishing sight, a vast treasure trove overflowing with gleaming gold coins, ancient swords, and ornate vases. The hero, observing the girl's growing weariness, sighed softly and suggested they take a much-needed respite. Kai, however, seemed oblivious, his mind already set on confronting even more monsters, making the hero wonder if his companion was deliberately deaf to their pleas. With a defiant stomp of his foot upon the cavern floor, he purposefully drew the attention of unseen creatures lurking in the deeper shadows. A wide grin spread across his face as he announced his success in gathering more monsters, declaring that the subsequent battle was now entirely their responsibility. Yet as he turned to face his companions, a chilling realization struck him. The rest of the group had vanished, leaving him utterly alone amidst the looming creatures. The hero, a wry smirk playing on his lips, remarked that while he generally disliked the notion of sacrificing a teammate, circumstances in this instance left them with delightfully few other choices. Mia, ever the compassionate soul, then promised that should he miraculously survive this predicament, she would most certainly return to extricate him from the monstrous horde. Abruptly, the entire cave began to tremble violently, and the white-haired girl looked up, her eyes wide with alarm at the sudden, ominous rumble. She nervously inquired if the sound had been Kai, but the hero grimly clarified that the tremors originated from the very heart of the monster nest. Mina then thoughtfully asked if they ought to investigate the source of the disturbance, and a silent consensus seemed to ripple through the group. The hero noted with a grimace that the scent of blood was overwhelmingly strong, and a pulsing red aura shimmered ominously from the direction of the tremors. Before they ventured further, the woman extended a healing potion to Julia, urging her to drink it. She explained that while they might not need to actively intervene, it was always prudent to check the situation as a necessary precaution. As they cautiously approached the site, a chilling scene unfolded before them. The lifeless bodies of several knights lay brutally scattered across the cavern floor. A gasp of horror escaped the girls, Mina's voice a whisper as she wondered if the entire investigation team had been utterly annihilated. A profound sense of dread settled over the hero, as a new, more intense tremor began to shake the very foundations of the cavern. The ancient cave walls groaned, beginning to crumble, and a violent shower of rocks rained down from the collapsing ceiling. Without warning, the mangled body of one of the fallen knights was suddenly hurled with tremendous force directly towards the terrified group. Mina watched the horrific spectacle unfold, a stark realization of their dire peril washing over her. From the deepest shadows, a colossal mater lumbered forth, its immense form dwarfing the cavern, an enormous axe clutched in its grasp, and its eyes glowing with a terrifying, malevolent light. A monstrous roar ripped through the air, sharp teeth glinting as the creature lunged towards the petrified students. A chilling thought pierced Mina's mind. Why would a calamity-class beast appear in such an unexpected place? The young woman's composure crumbled into panic, her mind struggling to grasp the unfolding horror of this academy mission. A strange familiarity washed over the protagonist. This formidable presence felt like an echo from a past encounter. With a desperate cry for caution, he thrust his companions out of harm's way, narrowly dodging the monster's devastating blow. The Mitador swung its colossal axe with bone-jarring force, and the hero steeled himself, preparing to meet the impact head-on. Golden energy surged around his clenched fist, an ethereal glow anticipating the imminent collision with the colossal axe. The axe descended, smashing into an ethereal ice shield that instantly fragmented into countless crystalline shards under the immense pressure. Julia rushed forward, her voice laced with concern, inquiring about their well-being, while the hero turned to Mina, questioning if she had conjured the protective ice. He denied creating the shield, his gaze widening with a mixture of surprise and profound concern at the sight before him. The hero then revealed that the very individual now ensnared in the Minotaur's formidable grasp had been their unexpected savior, the creator of the ice shield. With a terrifying squeeze, the monster tightened its grip on the man, a guttural growl questioning his audacious interference in its violent dominion. A memory resurfaced for the hero. This brave knight had come to their aid, even as his own body bore the marks of grievous wounds. The man's voice tore through the air, a desperate plea for them to alert the Imperial army and summon immediate reinforcements. He cried out that the ancient seal had been shattered, his words met by the creature's menacing, glowing eyes fixed upon him. The Minotaur delivered a devastating punch, the force of the blow shattering the knight's armor and sending fragments scattering. A wicked grin twisted across the monster's face as it chillingly declared its intention to devour them, one by one. Julia's voice, sharp with urgency, pierced the chaos, demanding to know why Mina remained frozen, unmoving amidst the brutal struggle. Mina's healing potion slipped from her numb fingers, her entire being seemingly locked in shock by the monster's sudden, horrifying arrival. A dawning realization washed over Julia. Something was deeply amiss, and she turned to Mina, her face etched with profound confusion. The Minotaur then shifted its massive form, its furious gaze settling with terrifying intensity upon Mina. Before the monster could lash out at Mina, the knight unleashed a torrent of ice magic, retorting that the beast itself was spouting nonsense. A cataclysmic explosion of ice engulfed the Minotaur, giving rise to a dense, swirling cloud of steam. The knight's voice, strained but resolute, urged them to make haste and report the dire events unfolding in this place. Mina and Julia exchanged resolute glances, agreeing to escape the cave and rally aid for the desperate battle. The protagonist offered a whispered apology for his inability to save the knight, vowing to return for retribution. The knight's voice, raw with desperation, implored them to flee the cave with all their might, to save their own lives. A somber smile touched his lips as he embraced his sacrifice, encasing both himself and the Minotaur in a prison of ice, buying precious moments for their escape. He thought to himself that his duty was fulfilled, having offered his life as a shield to protect the students. In a final, valiant act of sacrifice, the knight willed an impenetrable sheath of ice, binding both himself and the Minotaur within its frozen grasp. Yet the monster tore through the ice effortlessly, its furious roar echoing in defiance of the man's desperate, creative assault. The Minotaur opened its cavernous mouth, preparing to consume the brave, sacrificed knight. Abruptly, a bolt of searing purple lightning descended, striking the creature and momentarily halting its monstrous attempt to devour the man. The monster shrieked in agonizing pain from the electrifying impact, and the knight tumbled from its maw, falling heavily to the ground. Julia's voice rang out, proclaiming that he was no mere insect, but a magnificent warrior who had fought with unwavering courage. Mia conjured a gentle water spell, forming a soft cushion that broke the knight's fall and spared him from inevitable destruction. Mina then manifested a potent wind bomb, launching it with force toward the colossal beast. Her voice rose in a frantic yell at the protagonist, demanding an explanation for his reckless charge back into the fray. With unwavering resolve etched upon his face, the hero declared his intention to confront the creature, urging Mina to flee to safety. The woman chided him sharply, vehemently asserting that he stood no chance against a calamity-class monster on his own. Yet the protagonist met her gaze with quiet determination, acknowledging the immense difficulty but affirming his unavoidable need to try. The Minotaur retaliated, wrenching a gargantuan boulder from the earth and flinging it directly towards the vulnerable students. A malevolent glare fixed upon them, the creature bellowed a promise that they would all meet their end within the confines of this desolate cave. The hero commanded her to depart with the others, insisting that she leave the monstrous threat to him alone. Mina then proclaimed, with newfound conviction, that as vice president, the protection of everyone present was her solemn duty. The protagonist mused silently, acknowledging her unexpected courage and finding himself taken aback by her unwavering resolve. The woman then revealed her secret. She had used magic to contact Kai, who was now waiting at the cave's entrance with rescue. The Minotaur unleashed another ferocious roar, gathering its immense power, poised to strike the group with its full, devastating might. The group braced themselves for a coordinated assault, a grim realization settling upon them that victory against such a formidable monster was unattainable. The protagonist turned to Mina, urging her to place her faith in their collective strength as he prepared to face the Minotaur in battle. With a surge of power, he unleashed a searing beam of golden energy from his fist, aiming it directly at the colossal monster. With a determined shout, he surged forward, hands glowing with power, declaring with absolute certainty that they would not fall to a beast such as this. The great Minotaur, a towering figure of primal might, slowly lifted its colossal axe, its blade already glistening darkly with the fresh stain of blood. With a guttural roar, the beast spun its enormous weapon, striking with a force that unleashed a visible shockwave rippling through the air. A chilling blue light pulsed from the monster's single, malevolent eye, an ominous signal that another devastating strike was being prepared. Undaunted, the hero stood firm, facing the behemoth as a warm, golden aura began to emanate from his clenched fist. Gathering every ounce of his formidable strength, he unleashed a mighty punch, a concentrated blow aimed squarely at the monster's foe. The Minotaur, however, merely fixed him with an icy glare from its luminous eyes, appearing utterly unfazed by the young man's valiant assault. Mina's voice cut through the air, urging the protagonist to maintain his relentless pressure while she orchestrated her next powerful offensive. Useless insect, the monster sneered, unleashing a colossal punch with all its terrifying might, aiming to crush the defiant warrior. The hero braced himself, ready to absorb the devastating impact, as the colossal creature glared down with an expression of pure, unadulterated hatred. A slight smirk touched the young martial artist's lips as he muttered, "Looks like my sister is finally ready to join the fray." Julia's furious cry echoed through the cavern, "Do not dare bully my brother," as she unleashed her most potent spell. A dazzling cascade of purple lightning erupted, raining down upon the Minotaur and engulfing it in a searing, intense electrocution. Seizing this precious opening, the protagonist moved with blinding speed, delivering a relentless series of rapid blows to the reeling monster. With practiced precision, he struck vital pressure points across the creature's massive form, leaving it momentarily rooted and unable to move. A guttural scream of agony tore from the Minotaur's throat, a testament to the combined onslaught, as it now stood vulnerable and exposed in the fierce battle. "Now, sister, attack," the hero bellowed, knowing his efforts had successfully frozen the monster's colossal movements. From Julia's outstretched hand, a powerful thunder arrow erupted, streaking towards the immobilized Minotaur. At the same instant, Mina channeled her magic, a vibrant sphere of blue energy materializing within her cupped hands, a potent wind cutter spell taking form. With a unified shout, both girls unleashed their individual attacks, sending them hurtling towards the colossal Minotaur. The lightning and wind spells converged in midair, intertwining and fusing into a singular, far more powerful and devastating assault. The combined force struck the monster head-on, yet with a defiant roar, it managed to parry the immense blow using its giant axe. The creature cursed aloud, spitting a viscous stream of blood, clearly indicating the heavy wounds it had sustained. Its eyes burning with hateful malice, the Minotaur swore an oath to annihilate them all the moment its powerful legs regained their full strength. But Mina, resolute, declared that such a fate would not come to pass and began preparing another formidable magical attack. A massive sphere of glistening water materialized before her, which she then hurled with force towards the injured Minotaur. A torrent of water engulfed the creature, crashing down upon it and thoroughly drenching its massive form. The white-haired girl panted softly, the demanding spell having drained a significant portion of her magical energy. To their dismay, the Minotaur rose once more, proclaiming with a sneer that its legs had already mended, healed by the very magic water meant to hinder it. It snarled, "A little water won't stop me," teeth bared in a display of pure unbridled rage. With a terrifying scream, the creature charged forward, vowing to devour them all alive within the oppressive darkness of the cave. Julia then posed a chilling question, her voice cutting through the tension. What precisely happens when one soaked in water faces a surge of electricity? A cry of incandescent rage escaped her lips as she declared, "You will pay with your life for what you did to those soldiers." A colossal explosion of searing purple lightning and gushing water erupted, completely engulfing the charging Minotaur. The monster shrieked in unbearable agony, convulsing violently as it was subjected to the devastating electrical currents amplified by the combined magic of the two girls. The protagonist observed the scene, a dawning realization upon him. The water had not been meant to harm, but to dramatically amplify the lightning's destructive power. The Minotaur continued to writhe under the electrifying assault, tendrils of smoke beginning to pour from its colossal body. At last, with a thunderous crash, the creature collapsed, utterly defeated by the ingenious and powerful combined attack of the student group. The protagonist offered genuine praise for the girls' brilliant strategy, acknowledging them as truly top-tier students. His hand once again pulsed with a golden glow as he prepared to deliver the definitive final blow to the now vanquished monster. He ascended the massive, fallen form of the Minotaur, declaring his intention to stab it and ensure their hard-won victory was absolute. Mina looked on, a flicker of confusion in her eyes, unable to grasp his meaning after such a prolonged and arduous battle. Suddenly, an ominous dark red aura erupted with shocking intensity from the very core of the Minotaur's defeated body. The hero reeled back in shock, questioning what strange new horror was unfolding from the seemingly vanquished creature. A strange, crushing pressure enveloped him as the crimson aura struck with the explosive force of a detonation. From the swirling energy, a shadowy, dragon-like form materialized, lashing out at the protagonist with powerful waves of scarlet energy. He was violently thrown backward by the impact of the attack, landing with a jarring thud upon the rough cave floor. A truly terrifying shadowy creature, its eyes burning with an infernal red glow, fully emerged from the husk of the fallen Minotaur. Outside the cave, Kai felt a distinct tremor shake the earth beneath him, a sudden wave of fear washing over him at the unsettling turn of events. He wondered if an earthquake was striking, then a chilling realization dawned. Something far more dangerous and sinister was unfolding within the cavern. With grim determination, the young man swiftly decided to call for immediate reinforcements, murmuring a desperate plea for everyone inside to hold on. Deep within the cave, a monstrous roar ripped through the air, shaking the very stone around them. Crimson and black lightning burst from the creature's massive form, coalescing into a sinister red star symbol that branded itself upon its chest. The transformation was complete. Lucas watched, his jaw slack with a shock that bordered on disbelief at the sudden, terrifying change in his foe. The sheer raw pressure emanating from the beast was enough to send him staggering back, his feet skidding on the damp earth. Now the monster towered before him, its single malevolent red eye burning like a dying star, fixed solely on Lucas. A hot metallic taste filled Lucas's mouth as he realized blood trickled from his ears. Just the shockwave from its roar had wounded him. A chilling truth settled in his mind. This thing had grown exponentially stronger. His gaze flickered, a primal instinct overriding the pain as he desperately sought to confirm the safety of his friends. Through the haze of dust and energy, he saw Mina, her face contorted in strain, having conjured a magic shield just in the nick of time to absorb the monster's initial burst. The effort had utterly drained her, and now, her magical energy spent, she collapsed to the ground. Beside her, Mia lay motionless, and little Julia, unconscious and vulnerable. At the sight of his fallen teammates, Lucas's expression hardened, a dark resolve settling over his features. A vibrant yellow energy began to pulse around him, channeling fiercely into his clenched fist, preparing for the desperate attack to come. The monster let out another thunderous roar, a challenge echoing through the cave as it lumbered menacingly towards Lucas. With a burst of incredible force, Lucas launched himself from the ground, blurring through the air. Straight towards the colossal beast, he met the monster's gargantuan fist head-on with his own, a desperate clash of power against immense size. His eyes glowed with an intense yellow light, and with a grim, unwavering expression he declared, "I'll kill you." A flicker of genuine shock crossed the monster's face as it looked down at its own hand. Lucas had, in one devastating blow, severed the palm of its hand. Without a moment's hesitation, Lucas spun, his fist already cocked and ready for a follow-up strike. The monster, reeling, lashed out with its other hand, but Lucas was faster, surgically slicing its fingers into multiple, grotesque pieces. Now both of the monster's mighty hands were gone. Undaunted, the creature adapted, aiming a powerful kick at the hero with its massive leg. Lucas fluidly dodged the attack, executing a nimble somersault in midair before landing gracefully back on his feet. A chilling thought occurred to him. The monster didn't seem to feel any pain at all. He immediately braced himself, a new, unsettling change unfolding right before his eyes. The monster's severed arms began to regenerate, flesh knitting itself back together at an alarming rate. With fully restored limbs, the monster reached for a colossal axe embedded in the cave floor. It swung the weapon with terrifying force, aiming directly for where Lucas had been standing just moments before. Lucas leaped backward with incredible speed, narrowly escaping the devastating blow. He coughed, a spray of blood escaping his lips, the sheer wind pressure from the monster's attack enough to inflict damage. He cursed inwardly, realizing he had severely underestimated the internal injuries he'd sustained from that initial roar. Not bad at all, the monster rumbled, a sinister approval in its voice. The true blood of a true warrior is starting to stir. With that, it lunged, bringing its giant axe down in a thunderous arc. A colossal explosion erupted precisely where Lucas had stood, tearing through the cave. But Lucas had already sprinted away, narrowly outrunning the impact's blast radius. The monster's menacing gaze tracked Lucas's hasty retreat. It raised its immense axe once more, striking the ground with renewed fury. The impact sent tremors through the cavern, and the ceiling began to violently shake. Jagged cracks spiderwebbed across the stone, and large chunks of the ceiling began to break away and plummet downwards. Lucas's eyes widened, quickly realizing the shower of falling rocks was headed straight for his unconscious teammates. Without a second thought, he sprang into action. He sprinted with desperate urgency towards his vulnerable comrades. He met a giant rock hurtling towards little Julia with a powerful kick. The massive stone shattered into fragments, and Lucas landed back on the ground, a sigh of relief escaping him. He looked at his teammates, a moment of profound relief washing over him, knowing he had arrived just in time. Crushed beneath a new cascade of debris, the monster now knelt, yet from its form emanated a crimson-red aura, far more intense and menacing than before. Its maw opened wide and a searing roar erupted, a concentrated blast of raw power. The devastating attack streaked directly towards Lucas. But Lucas couldn't dodge. His teammates lay vulnerable directly behind him, offering no escape. He met the attack head-on, bracing himself. The monster's roar, he realized, was bouncing off the newly collapsed rock wall, amplifying and strengthening the incoming shockwave. As the furious assault finally subsided, Lucas remained standing, battered but resolute, having successfully shielded his teammates from the monstrous blast. The aftermath was severe. He coughed up a sickening gush of blood, his body pushed past its limits. And in that moment of crippling weakness, the monster saw its chance, swinging its axe in a brutal vertical arc towards Lucas, screaming, "Die." The monstrous axe, meant to cleave Lucas, suddenly halted mid-swing, frozen in the air as if by an unseen force. A flicker of confusion, then outright shock, registered on the monster's brutish face. In a blink, Lucas had caught the colossal axe blade, halting its deadly descent mere inches from his body. With the monstrous weapon now firmly in his grasp, Lucas cast a quick, reassuring glance towards his allies. A tremor of panic began to ripple through the monster's massive frame. It strained, bellowing with renewed effort, attempting to force the trapped axe forward. With a swift, powerful yank, Lucas tore the axe from the creature's grip, then moved with lightning speed, severing its limbs. "Do you truly believe," Lucas's voice cut through the air, "that you can defeat me?" Before the monster could react, Lucas vanished from his spot, a mere blur in the chaotic scene. In an instant, he reappeared, standing poised behind the towering beast, the giant axe now a formidable extension of his will. His eyes burning with fierce determination, Lucas declared, "As long as breath remains in my body, I will never allow you to lay a single hand on Julia or the others." The monster whirled around, its bulk clumsy but swift, ready to retaliate. Lucas, however, was faster, swinging the axe in a devastating arc straight towards the creature's face. One of its massive horns was cleanly severed, crashing to the ground with a sickening thud as dark blood erupted from the wound on its head. Lucas showed no mercy, his grip on the axe tightened, his resolve unyielding. He swung again, a vicious blow that not only cleaved the monster's remaining horn, but also carved a deep gash across its chest. The creature shrieked, a guttural cry of agony, as torrents of blood gushed forth, painting the ground. The second severed horn tumbled, striking the cavern floor with a heavy impact. Lucas landed lightly, his feet finding purchase amidst the chaos. He turned his head, his gaze locking onto the wounded beast, eyes now ablaze with an intense yellow glow. With a sudden surge, he launched himself forward, delivering a thunderous punch directly into the monster's abdomen. The monster's teeth shattered and flew, its mouth gushing a severe stream of blood. In a desperate move, the monster managed to seize Lucas's leg. It then brutally slammed him against the ground again and again with unrestrained force. With a powerful swing, it hurled Lucas across the cavern, sending him hurtling towards a distant wall. Lucas tumbled violently before crashing into the unyielding stone of the wall. A jolt of sharp pain suddenly coursed through the monster's body. It glanced down at its arm, only to find its hand was no longer there. Lucas slowly rose to his feet. In his grasp, he held the monster's torn-off hand, while his own formidable body was revealed, every ripped muscle and shredded body visible, red veins standing out starkly against his skin. With a grotesque regeneration, the monster's missing limb instantly reformed, whole once more. A primal roar of fury and defiance ripped from its throat. Then, with synchronized ferocity, both combatants lunged, converging in the center of the arena. Their fists met with explosive force, unleashing a colossal shockwave that blasted debris across the entire chamber. They continued their brutal dance, exchanging blows repeatedly in the open air. With each impact, the surroundings buckled and crumbled, bearing witness to the escalating devastation. Through the maelstrom of destruction, Lucas's voice rang out, a chilling vow: he would end this creature. Within the monster's widening eyes, one could see the menacing reflection of Lucas, a harbinger of doom. Lucas, now consumed by pure rage, his eyes burning an infernal red. He unleashed a devastating punch into the monster's abdomen, a blow so immense it tore the creature in two. A final agonized shriek escaped the monster, its eyes bulging with unimaginable torment. Still, Lucas was not finished. He sprang into the air, one leg drawn back and poised for a final strike. Then, with gravity's aid, he brought down a devastating kick onto the monster's head. The sheer force of the impact sent tremors through the entire cave, shaking the very ground of the surrounding area. In the aftermath of the cataclysmic blow, Julia stirred, slowly regaining consciousness. Both Mina and Julia awoke, sitting up dazed. Mina cried out in disbelief that they were still alive, while Julia's eyes frantically scanned for her brother. Then Julia froze, her gaze falling upon the horrific scene before her. Lucas, relentless and unyielding, was still savagely punching the monstrous broken form beneath him. At last, he ceased his assault, revealing a scene of absolute carnage, a gruesome tapestry of the monster's blood and shredded flesh scattered everywhere. Lucas stood, a solitary figure upon the remains of his foe, taking a deep, ragged breath, his face utterly devoid of emotion.
Don't forget to like, share and subscribe. For more videos, subscribe to the channel.